It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
The Mixed Martial Arts Hour is back in your life on this Monday, April 25th, 2022. Hello again, everyone. I missed you. Did you miss me? I missed you. That's the truth. Feels like we haven't done one of these in quite some time. In reality, it's been, 10 or so days? But a hell of a lot of things have happened, my friends, in the world of mixed martial arts and combat sports. And we got a lot to talk about. It's so great to be back. Hope you enjoyed the time off. If you took some time off, spring break, Easter break, Passover break, whatever it may be. If you didn't, I'm sorry for leaving you hanging. But sometimes these things happen in MMA. You need some time off. And so it is great to be back. Massive week here in New York City. Been a while since I felt this kind of excitement, buzz, je ne sais quoi, on a Monday before a fight week, because history is going to be made 5 days in this city from now. Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. First time ever in the history, the glorious history of the world's most famous arena. Two women will headline a boxing event. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. Be a part of that coverage a little bit, but we are just buzzing here. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. Like I said, there's been 1,000 events since we last spoke, a ton of news, a ton of things going on, and we don't have any time to waste, because at the very, very top of the show, we're going to be joined by one of the biggest newsmakers in the sport right this second. That's how we like to do it. You know, I like to come back with a bang. We are coming back with a bang in a matter of seconds. Stick with me here. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends over at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of not only the MMA Hour, but the UFC as well. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use code THEMMA for a special offer when you sign up. Again, that's code THEMMA only at DraftKings. Back into the show, we'll check in with GC, with NewYorkRic. A bit of a roundtable, if you will, covering the last 10 days in combat sports. A hell of a lot of things to get to. Stay tuned for that. Also, we got to recap GC's bets over the last 10 days. He's been on fire, so we'll check in with him. Dan Hardy's going to join us at 2:30, talk about his boxing match against Diego Sanchez. One of the many things announced over the last 10 or so days. Dan Hardy versus Diego Sanchez. Yes, Dan Hardy, Diego Sanchez boxing match, July 2nd. It is happening. Andreas Michael, one of the best coaches in MMA, head coach over at All Stars in Sweden, head coach for one, Khamzat Chimaev, is going to stop by. First time on this program, talk about the big win over Gilbert, and more importantly, where we go from here. Ben Rothwell is going to join us at around 1:35 to break some news, not only about what happened with the UFC, why he was suddenly released. He was supposed to fight Alexander Gustafsson, but also where he's headed. He's going to break some news. Stay tuned for that. However, we must start today's show, like I said, with one of the biggest stars in the sport of MMA, one of the biggest stars in combat sports, and one of the biggest stories in combat sports. Of course, you know by now, Tyson Fury returned to action this past Saturday. He defeated Dillian Whyte in a fantastic performance. Uppercut from nowhere, lightning quick, knocks him out. Big party, 94,000, Wembley Stadium. Everyone's going crazy. And then in the post-fight interview, what happens? He calls over the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the soon-to-be potential free agent one, Francis Le Predateur Ngannou. He calls him over to do a little tete-a-tete. And it was an unbelievable scene. It was a surreal scene. And so I had to ask Francis to come on the program to talk about this, how he's doing after the surgery, what his future is looking like, all that and more. Without further ado, let's go to the Zoom machine and say hello to the one and only Le Predateur, Francis Ngannou. How are you, Francis? Thank you for doing this, my friend.
I'm doing good, Ariel. And you?
I'm doing great. Wow, we have a lot to talk about. By the way, you look fantastic. You changed your hairstyle on us. You're doing the whole thing where you're shaving it down, you're letting it grow. What's going on over there?
No, I was getting bored, and I'm trying to work on that, that magic potion to get it back. Some little secret some little spice that I put on my head to get my hair back, and it's coming back. So
it's working. Good. Is it working?
But I'm still gonna have my stuff. Yeah, it's been only 2 months. I have to wait until probably 6 months to see the result, but I think it's working, which is great.
Okay. Well, it's great to have you again. Of course, the last time we had you on was in January, just 2 days after your win over Ariel. It was, like I said, one of the, I think, most important interviews we've ever done on this show. And you talked a lot in that interview about your situation. I actually want to work backwards here. I want to start more in like the last couple months and work our way to Saturday if I can. Just curious, we have never seen someone speak that openly in your position as a champion about the state of his situation, his contract, all that. Was there any negative repercussions that came your way as a result of the things that you said on this show back in January?
No, not at all. Listen, when you get to that point, I think it's all about like how free you speak, and I didn't care about any repercussion. And I think at this point, everybody kind of like understand that that's not my concern, and I'm not just afraid of anything, Basically, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to do what is right for me, which I think I should, because if I don't do that for myself, nobody is going to do that. I have to stand up for myself.
Have you been surprised or not at the support that you have received from your fellow UFC fighters?
No, I haven't been surprised because since the beginning, I always have the support of the UFC fighter. Even those who can speak out loud, they will come back this stage and whisper to me, to my ear, like, "Good job, Will. I like what you're doing." But I really understand their position that they can speak, because he might cost them a lot, or if it's not everything, So I understand that, and that's why I don't want to take this like get somebody involved, because I don't want somebody to like lose whatever he counting on for if he doesn't have a backup.
Okay, so I was going to ask, do you wish more people were speaking out, in your favor? It sounds like you're okay with what people are saying or what they're not saying publicly.
Yeah, because I understand them. It's easy for people from the outside to just say, "Oh, we think fighters should speak," or "We think some people will support you." No, it's not easy, bro. It's not easy. If they speak out loud in some and they don't in some position, you guess what? Next day they're out. They don't have any voice. They don't have a chance to speak twice at all. So you kind of understand that. You kind of understand the situation. I know what is it. I'm inside. So I can blame somebody. And if somebody say, "Yes, I stand by your side," guess what? I will tell him, "Don't do that, because he might go south. And I'm not sure you're going to handle this, but I can take it." Could you? I don't think so.
Have you had any serious productive conversations, you or your management, your agent, Markel Martin, have any of you had any serious productive conversations with the UFC about your future since the fight against Ariel?
Just after we spoke, we had a meeting with a dinner with the UFC, and that wasn't about a contract situation. It was just like to clear the air, because it is clear that at this point, we have to clear the air. It was just trying to clean things out, speak things out, and we kind of like speak. And I was speaking about my frustration, but also I had to go back home, because it's not a thing that's supposed to be solved in one night or over one dinner or two dinners. So I think it might take some time. And I went home, see my family, came back and had a surgery, couldn't go back for a long time. And then I had a dinner with Hunter a week ago. And it was great, but friendly dinner, no business involved. But as far as business, we haven't really moved on. I think just now is what they are trying to do, at least I would say, is like maybe clear the air.
Do you feel like the air has been cleared or is in the process of being cleared?
We will find out. I think there is a lot of work to do here.
At any of those dinners that you just mentioned or get-togethers, Dana White present?
Yes, Dana White was present in the first one.
How did that go?
He was present himself. It goes well, because he was just personal and has nothing to do business. And personally, I have nothing against anybody. My problem is just on the business side, which is not going good. I want the best for me, for my business, for as far as business concerned. So yeah, I think we can have the best personal relationship, but we have to also work out the business relationship as well.
Okay, and so then you have the surgery mid-March. Successful surgery?
Very successful, and the recovery been well. The doctor been great, and very happy about it. I had my surgery in LA with Dr. Nia Alatraj, and I saw him like last week. He was very happy about how he's going. I've been off crutches after 3 weeks and a half. Been doing my rehab at the UFC PI. They've been helping a lot about it. Get a lot of great help on the rehab and everything, have a very good work on my re-education at the PI. So it's been working pretty good, and it's been 5 weeks and a half now. And I've been off crutches for two weeks now.
Wow. And we're working up to Saturday. Of course, we saw you without crutches in the ring. I'm just curious, when you go to the PI, everything okay there? Is it because of your situation? Are they treating you okay? Is everyone being respectful, nice, warm, welcoming?
Listen, there's one thing that I want to clear now. Usually when the thing is not good, even with the UFC, when they say UFC, it's not people that work in the UFC. People that work in the UFC that you meet every day, always nice, but they are not, because they are not decision maker. They are not involved in that. They are not involved in your relationship with the decision maker. So I've been treated very good. They love me, they respect me, and I respect them. They're being nice with. I can't complain about anything at the PI,
So around a month and a half or so ago, we have the press conference, Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte. Tyson says he's done after this fight. He came on this show the day after the press conference, said, I'm done. This is my last fight. And then I asked him, well, what about the Francis stuff? What about this and that? He said, no. That doesn't count. That's an exhibition. That's totally different. I want that fight. Okay, fine. Then he goes, you want him, you want him to look good. If he loses, maybe the interest in that dips, all that stuff. Well, we see what happened on Saturday, 94,000, Wembley. He looks fantastic. He knocks out Dillian Whyte. And then we find out you're sitting in the front row with your agent, Markel Martin. So first, let me ask you, what did you think of his performance on Saturday?
Well, his performance was clear. Everyone saw it, great, amazing performance. The fight, with the fight going on, everybody always have a chance, but to get to the point that he finished in that way, very clear and snaky, just make a statement on his own. He doesn't have to introduce himself today. Anybody kind of know who Tyson is, but that uppercut was so nice. You kind of okay, this guy, there is one more thing that I have to be careful on in the future. But I think I can take it and I can give it back.
So now afterwards he wins, he's doing his post-fight interview with ESPN, and all of a sudden there's Francis Ngannou walking into the shot. Not only that, he calls you over. How did you get into the ring? Who let you into the ring?
Everybody let me in the ring. Nobody could stand on my way. If you were there, could you stand on my way?
No, absolutely not. I would have rolled out the red carpet for you.
No. Yeah. Basically, if the man of the night doesn't have any problem with that, basically, if he invite me, nobody gonna stand between both of us.
Were you surprised that he brought you in during the live interview?
Yeah, I was a little surprised, to be honest. I didn't know that's what he's gonna do. I thought he's gonna maybe say something, but no, confront me in the octagon.
Okay, in the ring, by the way, it's a ring in boxing.
In the ring,
yeah. That's right. I'm
so used to octagon.
Okay, so when you guys are speaking, it's like almost like you're both talking matter of fact. And what's so interesting about this, Francis, as I'm sure you would agree, your friend Kamaru Usman, pound for pound great. He's a tremendous fighter. He's been talking about Canelo recently. But let's be honest, Canelo hasn't really been talking about him. He's not that interested. In this case, Tyson is talking about you. He's calling you over. He's saying, I want this fight. Of course, we know that you want this fight. How close are we to actually making this fight legit, making this fight official, actually making Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury?
Well, I would say, I don't know how close is it, but I think it's very clear that this fight is going to happen because both of us, we want this fight. That's clear. And we respect each other, as you can see in the octagon. The guy just earned the moment. He was the man of the night. He could have just stand there and be cocky. I'm like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, But he called me in the ring and he speak to me very respectfully, as a champion, and I respect him as well. So I think it's going to happen. I think it's just a matter of our promotion, the situation, the contract situation, and everything. But we're going to sort this out at some point, probably next year, and this fight going to happen.
Realistically, given your knee situation, your rehab, when could you realistically fight again, in your opinion? What are they saying to you?
Potentially in November, but more likely in December, because in December I will be in the full cap of 9 months recovery. Even if my recovery seems to be faster, I still want to give myself more time to not to give any chance to re-injure that same knee.
So this times out with your contract because, as you've said, you're a free man as of December of this year, right? With the UFC, your contract is up end of December 2022, correct?
Yeah.
When you
that's exactly what it is.
When you sit down with the UFC, do you tell them about the Tyson? Like, is the Tyson Fury fight a part of the discussions, or are you thinking, I want to do the Tyson Fury fight on my own, and then maybe we could talk about signing with UFC? Because in this case, you can actually go out on your own and make this happen, right? If you wait till January, you're a free man.
Tyson Fury fight has to be part of the discussion. That's not an option. He has to be part of the discussion because if that's not part of the discussion now, he will never be. If I sign another contract now and basically the same model of a contract, I'm screwed. That's not happening ever. So we have to figure out a way to implement this into a contract.
What I'm wondering is, if you're free as of December, why even sign? Why even bring the UFC involved? Why not just do this Tyson fight on your own?
Well, I think the UFC is a great promotion, and I want to keep fighting. Tyson Fury is not my last fight. I want to keep fighting. After Tyson Fury, there's still a lot of fight out there. There's the John Jones, there's Stipe, a trilogy with Stipe. There's still a big fight I can do in the UFC. So, and I would really like that to happen. I would really like us to get to a common point, yes, I can do a Tyson Fury on my own, but what next,
Okay.
I would like to keep fighting. I would like for us to come to a agreement, understand, but for that, I need they have to have a good understanding of the situation.
Okay, I understand. So would it be fair to say in a perfect world for you, you come to an agreement with the UFC, and part of that agreement is to do this sort of co-promotion with Tyson Fury's team, and then after that fight, regardless of what happens, you go back to defending your heavyweight title, whether it's against these guys you've mentioned, Stipe, John Jones, etc. But you want this to be a part of the deal. You don't want to necessarily leave, go out on your own, but you want them to be on board with the making of this fight. Fair?
Yeah, because I believe that they can make it, doesn't matter how big it could be, the UFC can make it bigger.
Based on your discussions with them, are they interested in this? Are you getting that sense? Are they open to it?
It's really hard to say. As I said, we didn't talk. It wasn't a business talk, you know. It wasn't really a business talk. So we didn't have to talk too much about business.
Okay. Do you feel like they were saying this on the broadcast? You know, Tyson fights on ESPN. I know his deal with Top Rank is coming to an end, but he has the relationship. You have the relationship with UFC, who has the relationship with ESPN. It feels like in the past there have been a lot of roadblocks, but in this particular case, obviously your contract situation is a huge roadblock. If they could figure that out, it feels like this could be a relatively easy fight to make. Am I crazy? What do you think?
I think so. I mean, my contract situation is not a roadblock because either way, my contract situation will not stop me from fighting. So it's not a roadblock. Mm-hmm. So I think it's pretty easy. Tyson Fury contract situation as well is coming up probably soon, as you said. And therefore, there's nothing that can hold us from not doing it.
Could I ask, are you looking for a 50-50 split? What are you looking for? Because on Saturday, it wasn't 50-50, right, with Dillian. Dillian got a ton of money, $7 million, but it wasn't 50-50. What are you looking for?
50-50? What do you think?
I think you should get 60-40, Francis, for God's sakes. You're the UFC heavyweight champion.
No, I'm very generous, Ariel.
That's right. Okay, fine.
You have to consider that 50-50.
50. Okay, fair enough. What do you say to the people? You know, a lot of people, Francis, I've been kind of fighting on your behalf over the past couple of days, saying, no, Francis doesn't stand the chance. Tyson's going to knock him out, this and that. What do you say to all these people, these haters? Because I'm sure you get it too, crazy social media. What do you say to the people who say that you don't have a chance against Tyson Fury?
Well, then they don't know me. And that's even a good sign because I prevail the most when I'm underdog. I have heard that so many times in my life, but yet I'm here. You know, even in my last fight, I kind of hear those type of stuff. But I'm here, man, you know. So until it happened, nobody can really know. And everybody can speculate, but he will always be just a speculation and opinion. Mm-hmm. The real fight is the way that would give a result. That's the only moment that anybody could be sure of anything.
Watching him up close on Saturday, you see things in his game and you say, I could do this against him, I could do that. Like, I'm sure you were watching it with that careful eye. Did you take away a few things?
Exactly. Like, you know, it's been 2 years that I've been watching Tyson very closely, observing of his style, how he boxes, and what make it better. Yeah, I think over the past 2 years, I have collected a lot of data on Tyson who could potentially help me down the road.
And he seems into this idea of doing it with the MMA gloves. Are you down with the rules that he's talking about?
I think this fight, even though we can't really do it as a MMA fight, we can implement MMA rules in it, but just make something like, you know, make it like a hybrid fight, something that make it feel a little bit uncomfortable as a boxer. You know, MMA gloves, for example, that was my idea. You know, maybe barefoot or something.
Oh,
wow.
You
know, I don't know. We still have to figure this out. It's just some ideas, but we still have to figure this out.
Where do you think is the most realistic spot for the fight to happen?
The most realistic spot for the fight can happen either way, in Las Vegas, in London, in Middle East, in Africa. So this, for me, is the 4 locations that I have, but we can trim this down again.
And after the event on Saturday, I know we saw you guys talking on camera, but were there any other discussions that we didn't see? Anything else exchanged between you, your side, his side, anything like that?
No, we both know that it's going to happen. I won the fight. He won the fight. It's not a time yet. So there's not a discussion right now. We are just expressing our desire to make that fight happen.
But it sounds like in your mind, this is fait accompli, as they say, right? Like this is going to happen. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah, it's when.
Wow. And so for you, what do you?
I mean, can you say that? I mean, I think it's clear because there is something that is just obvious. You can do anything about it, you know.
The next
over the time, we kind of like tease each other.
Yeah.
And then it get to a point that it seemed we're very close.
The next time we see you in action, you feel confident that it will be against Tyson Fury?
Yeah, I would say 70% chance that he'll be against Tyson Fury.
Wow. And the next time we see Tyson in action, do you think he will not do anything until he's talking about WWE stuff, but I'm talking about like, you know, a real fight? You think it'll be against you?
Yeah, on his side, yeah. I think I would even say 90%.
Wow. And when you're sitting with the UFC, are they talking about John? Are they talking about Stipe too? Like, what are they proposing to you? Any names? Any timetable? Any number? Nothing.
They just talk about the timetable, like when can I be back and stuff like that. But right now I can't fight, so they were just like asking like when I could possibly be back, which is like the end of the year. And I feel like I could fight again.
When you visualize this fight with Tyson, how do you see it ending?
He can end either way, Ariel. I mean, if somebody doubt that he can end either way, then he's out of his mind. He can, but in my perspective, and from how I see it, how I want it to be, and how I'm going to be working on it, is to be a best night for me and a bad night for Tyson. Not easy, but possible.
You think you could knock him out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100% I believe I can knock it out. As I said, it's not easy, but it's possible.
Well, I have to say, I'm very excited about this. And, you know, I see a lot of people, you know, a lot of MMA people saying, I don't want to see this. Let me tell you something, Francis. I don't care if it makes me sound biased as that. I hope this happens. I want this to happen. I'm rooting for it to happen. If anyone knows anything about your story and what you have had to overcome and what you have been through throughout your life, I'm not just talking about as a fighter. I'm talking about as a young person trying to come and make a better life for themselves in Europe and everything that you've had to overcome. Most people would die in those situations. You deserve this, my friend. I hope you get 50 million, 80 million, 100 million for this. You deserve this. And anyone trying to stop this from happening, anyone standing in your way, anyone telling you that you're crazy for trying to make this happen, shame on them is what I say. Because if anyone deserves this, if anyone's been through enough crap over his life and had to overcome and is now standing tall on the verge of making millions, generational wealth, it's you, my friend. So I hope that it happens and I hope no one stops this from happening.
Thank you very much, Ariel. But, you know, as I said, when you listen to, if you have ever listened to my workout music lately, it's God plans. You know, God's plan. When God's planned something, nothing can stand against it. And God have planned this for me, and it's about to happen. I don't care about the haters. I don't care about who say shit. First of all, their opinion doesn't matter. They're just, if you don't want it, step away, brother. Nobody invited you here. If you like it, you're welcome. That's just the thing. And your opinion will always be just an opinion. I mean, as much as I like you or not, is an opinion. That's the truth. What really matter at the end is what I want and what I will do. And here I've always been like that my entire life since day one. I have heard people say, oh, you can make it, or you can come from here and do it. I'm here. I'm a champion of the world, man. With all the doubt. So I prove all them wrong. So it seems like I'm very good at like getting people wrong, and I will get them wrong. And at the meantime that by the time that I get them wrong, I will make my fan happy. I'll make people that is behind me very happy. And I'll be happy to get my fans get a win over them as well.
I love it. God's plan by Drake.
So yes, God planned by Drake. That's my workout music. that speaks to me.
Yeah. I love that song.
Oh, brother, stick to journalism, please. Let that.
All right. Francis, you're the man. I hope you make this happen. Speedy recovery. And by the way, and I should have started with this, my condolences on the passing of your uncle, Laurent, I believe his name was. I saw you posted.
Laurent, yes, Laurent. His name was Billy. Thank you very much. He was a great mentor for me. You know, the guy, he wasn't a close uncle, but he inspired me so much and be there just by being a human that he was, you know, inspiring me. And he has a big impact on my life, like wanted just to be maybe not what he was as a man, but at least a half of what he was. That for me, that would be a success in my life.
Thank you, Francis. Well said. Best of luck to you, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, as always, for the time. Good luck in making this happen.
Thank you, Ariel. It's a pleasure, as always.
Avec plaisir. There he is, le prédateur, le champion du monde, the one and only, the pride of Africa, the pride of France as well. I want to read you guys something real quick here. Because I want to put into perspective what, when I talk about what this man has been through. If I can do this real quick for everyone, what he's been through. Take a look at this. I have this up here. Just give me a second. An amazing, where's my thing here? One second. What happened to my phone? Did I lose my phone?
You doing all right in there?
Yeah, we're doing all right. Okay, look, I want to show you. I just want to quickly read something here, because I talk about, what this guy has been through, and I don't know if everyone knows it, and this is why I think it's important to be in favor of this fight, if I'm being honest. And you may say, hey, I want my Buffalo Wild Wings, and I want my pizza, and I just want to be entertained on a Saturday night, and this doesn't concern me. Well, guess what? You talk to enough of these guys, you talk to enough of these fighters, you hear their stories, you hear how they're getting screwed left, right, and center. You root for things like this. All right, this is from a thread written by Polina Marinova back in April 13th of this year. Francis Ngannou. Okay, this is a bit about his background. I thought it just summed it up perfectly. As a child growing up in Cameroon, Ngannou endured a level of poverty few people can even imagine. After his parents divorced, he moved to his grandmother's one-room brick house with his mom and 4 siblings. There's pictures here of what this situation looked like. Ngannou's father had a bad reputation as a street fighter and an abusive husband to his mom. My whole life, he said, my father was the example for me of what not to do. I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because if my dad wasn't what he was, I could have been what he was. His family couldn't afford to buy him pen and paper for school, and he often went hungry because he'd have to skip lunch. I got to the point where I had enough of being embarrassed in front of other kids, he said, so I made a promise I would change the way other kids looked at me. At age 9, Ngannou got a job digging sand mines for $1.90 a day. The work kept his body busy, but he kept his mind busier by dreaming of making it to America and becoming a world-famous boxer. He was so obsessed with the dream of moving to the United States that he gave himself a nickname, American Boy. When he was 22, Ngannou was ready to execute on the plan that had percolated in his head for over a decade. I left the village to go to the city and find a gym. I wanted to be world champion, he said. Even though he was a dreamer, Ngannou says he was realistic about the fact that he couldn't become a world champion training in Cameroon. So at age 25, he sold all of his belongings and set off for Morocco, the first leg of a winding and treacherous journey to America. Ngannou traveled a whopping 3,000 miles across the Sahara Desert, from Cameroon to Nigeria, from Nigeria to Niger, from Niger to Algeria, from Algeria to Morocco. The biggest deal was to get from Morocco to Spain, because Spain's in Europe. He said that was the hardest part. It took him 14 months to make it from Morocco to Spain. an endeavor Ngannou describes as a hell of a journey. That's because he attempted to float on a raft full of people to a Spanish island off the coast of Morocco, where he would call the Red Cross and seek asylum. But the authorities had pulled him out of the water 6 separate times and either dropped him back in the middle of the Moroccan desert or temporarily locked him in a Moroccan jail. He got through this chaotic journey with a laser-focused mindset, asking himself time and again, what do I have to lose? Ngannou ardently believed that his temporary pain was necessary in order for him to change the trajectory of his life. In 2013, 26-year-old Ngannou made it to Spain and spent time in an immigration detention center. He didn't care. Asylum was all but guaranteed at that point. In his search for a boxing gym, he ended up in Paris, where he slept in the stairwell of a covered parking lot. The parking lot was so nice, he said, I didn't even feel homeless. When he entered the gym, Ngannou caught the eye of a coach named Diego Sanchez, who suggested Ngannou try MMA as a way to make a living before trying boxing. Ngannou wasn't interested because, 1, he had never heard of MMA before, and 2, his passion was boxing, which he called a, quote, noble art. As fate would have it, the boxing gym shut down 2 months later, so Ngannou joined a different gym called the MMA Factory, and the rest is history. We know the rest of the story. So don't even dare talk to me about this man not deserving this, about this man not doing enough, about this man not being worthy of being in there with Tyson Fury. Look at the crap that this guy has been through. Look at what he's had to overcome. Nothing to his name. Traveling, getting in a detention center, being put here and there, being arrested 6 times, all this stuff. And the original dream, if this story is told correctly, the original dream was to be a heavyweight champion in the sport of boxing. Now he is the heavyweight champion in the sport of UFC. If you sell this the right way, if you promote this the right way, who is truly the baddest man on the planet? Francis Ngannou or Tyson Fury? You have a promoter's dream. Of course, no one wants to see Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury more than me. It's a great fight. It ain't a generational fight. It's the same thing that we saw this past weekend. It's a fight. It's a great fight. There'll always be another guy, and there'll always be another guy for Francis to fight in MMA. But it's never been this close to happening. Heavyweight king versus heavyweight king. This is bigger than anything that Tyson can do in the sport of boxing. Trust me. Trust me. It's not me living in an MMA bubble. We saw what happened with Mayweather and McGregor, and I know Francis isn't McGregor, but if you promote this the right way, if you let the world know, not just England, not just the UK, the world know that it's heavyweight king versus heavyweight king, you've got yourself a dream, a promoter's dream, an absolute promoter's dream. And I would strongly argue that Francis is more well-known here in America than Anthony Joshua is. I would make that argument. I would absolutely make that argument, because of the state of MMA in this country. Anyway, wanted to give a little context there, why I feel so strongly about this fight, and why I feel so strongly as to why that man deserves this fight. And it ain't just about participation trophies. He's pretty freaking good. Look what he just did to the heavyweight GOAT, Stipe Miocic. Look what he just did to Cyril Gane with one leg. Come on, guys. Make the fight happen. If you ain't rooting for this, I question whether or not you truly love these MMA fighters. That's what I'll say. More on this fight later with GC and NewYorkRic, but we got to move along now. Speaking of heavyweights, let's talk to one who recently left the UFC somewhat surprisingly. He was supposed to fight Alexander Gustafsson, and then all of a sudden we find out he's not fighting Alexander Gustafsson, and we want to know about his future. One of the all-time legends, been in this game 20 years. Big Ben Rothwell joining us right now, former IFL heavyweight champion, former UFC fighter now. There he is. Big Ben, how are you, sir? There he is. Look at those fists.
Ready to rock.
Ben, we got a lot to discuss here. Thank you for the time. So let me ask you, you're supposed to fight Alexander Gustafsson in May, and then all of a sudden we find out you're out of the UFC. What happened?
So, yeah, let's clear all this up.
Yeah, let's clear it up.
A lot of people are, coming at me, UFC cut me, and what do they know? It's the UFC gets to use that press release that they released me. Nobody knows why. You hear talks of USADA, all these different things. The truth is, the fight got brought to us in January, and they announced it. There was like an announcement, stuff was going on, and me and my management sat back and were like, well, it's the last fight on our deal. What comes next? What are we going to do? So we went to the UFC and said, are we going to sign something? Are we going to get something done ahead of time for this fight? Because in my mind, I've been kind of seeing the landscape of what's going on and my timing and where I'm at in the picture. And you know, they've let go of some of the big heavyweights and stuff. And I'm like, even if I go in and perform well, knocked out Gustafsson in the first round, look great, what's going to happen next? And they came back. We asked, hey, we're going to sign a deal. And they're like, oh, let's get back to you. And they came back and said, you know, hey, let's see what happens after this fight. And we talked about it, and we kind of suspected that that was the answer, which kind of left the door open on go out and win, do great, and that's it. And we're going to let you go anyway. So I didn't like that. And we asked for a release in February. I said, I only got so many fights, and this fight was just a fight to make money. What is it really going to do? I'm going to fight Gustafsson, who is a name, but he's 0-3. And the fight is just a fight. It's just a fight to make money. And I've only got so many fights left in me to make money. So we just asked for a release, and they sat, and there was a period of time here they're going back for it. I think it caught them off surprise, if anything. I've been with them, for 13 years. So they granted it to us, and they didn't have to. So I have nothing bad to say. I've had, a good 13 years of being a professional fighter, making my living off of fighting, getting to do something I love, and they granted it to us. And then I got to hit the market.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that part up, because, like I said, very rare to see something like this happen. You're booked in a relatively interesting fight. Gustafsson's a name, as you said, and then it's like a few weeks ago we find out, oh, wait, Ben's not on the roster anymore. Okay, so then you hit the market. Now, when you hit the market, Ben, are you free to talk to anyone, or is this like one of those situations where there's a negotiation period, you can't talk, or is it just like, hey, you're released, God bless, you can talk to anyone?
So first round management, Abe and Melky, or let me tell you, let's go back the last 5 years. They're 100% responsible for why I'm even still fighting. I was really losing my desire, where my money was at the time, and those guys took me on. They got me a new deal at the UFC, which was very motivating for me, and they've 100% kept me excited into this, and I believed in them. So when we came to this option of, hey, let me see the market, I was kind of putting it on them. Like, I believed I did enough. I believed I had value elsewhere, and they agreed with me. So once I got released, they were able to go around, and we basically got offers from pretty much everybody. And then there was one offer that stood out from everybody, and that was the one that said, all right, these guys are excited about me, and I'm equally excited to be with them.
Okay.
Drum roll. You ready?
I'm ready.
So BKFC came with the best offer.
Wow.
Made me very excited. I believe that it's a place for me, because I was doing BKFC long before MMA. So it's something I'm a part of in my life, and something my grandfather was doing, probably not legally, but I had a history of it, and it's just kind of something that's in my blood, and I'm really excited to be with them.
So you have signed with BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I don't think a lot of people were predicting that. Does this mean that your MMA career is over?
No, it was PFL and Bellator.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Does this mean your MMA career is over?
So I think it's best to always keep doors open, because, I kind of get myself going, and I get my name going back in there again, and I show the kind of entertainer that I know that I am. I get people excited again. I mean, anything is possible. What happens? But I've only got so many more years to do it. So yeah, I'll just doors open for anything. Never say never. Right?
Is this deal that you signed with BKFC better than the one that you just had with the UFC?
It's a very good deal for me, and it's in short term, yes, it is. It's a better deal, and I can't really get into too many numbers, but let's just say I'm a 6-figure fighter, and I win my next 3 fights, I'll make 7 figures.
Wow.
Yes, it's a very good deal.
Good for you, man. Congratulations. So is it a 3-fight deal, a 4-fight deal? What is it?
Yeah, we're on 3 fights right now.
Okay. And do you have your debut set?
I think that's going to get figured out this week.
Okay. Like time frame, like this summer? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I heard the summer is getting talked about. I heard end of June. I'm guessing they're probably looking right now and probably want to get me going so I can become the entertainer that I love to be.
And any opponents being discussed?
I think my first fight in, I'm not sure. I think it's, somebody on the roster. I know Arnold Adams is their champ, and, you got some names like Joey Beltran. He just had a bad fight, but his last opponent, obviously, somebody that's a totally game opponent. You got Alan Belcher in there. So there's definitely some guys to fight, but the first fight, I think I just got to get in there with whoever, test the waters.
Yeah. Have you been a fan of BKFCs? Have you been watching their events as of late?
So it kind of is an interesting question because just, listening to Francis just now and just the boxing and MMA, and there's like this divide and I'm a combat sports fan. So, I enjoy watching Tyson Fury and like how he's come across. And, let's talk business, just how Conor McGregor switched over and made all that money to fight in boxing. It's just like, look how the sports work with each other and what they can do for each other. And, hearing Francis' story, it's just like, yeah, like we're combat sports. We're supposed to be like, we can all help each other. We can all help make money. I think Tyson really stepped up to do that. And, me going to BKFC, it's a combat sports. We're going to use fists and punch each other in the head, and that's what we do in these sports. And we're collectively all part of this.
Have you? So you kind of alluded to this, but have you ever been involved in a official bare knuckle fight?
Not official.
Okay. When's the last time you were in an unofficial bare knuckle fight?
Thankfully, it's been some time.
Okay.
When I was in my early 20s, it was pretty frequent. Like,
wow.
I was just starting out the sport. The sport saved me, essentially. Me becoming a professional and knowing what I could do helped me stay out of it. But when I was in high school and early 20s, it was it was pretty normal to fight, and that's just how it was. People always like to pick on the big guy, they test themselves. And and another big guy wanted to be the alpha of the area and just all sorts of nonsense. And I had to just straight up defend myself, believe it or not. People coming at you on the street, guys get out of their car. You got to react, So you stick them in the face with a 1-2-1-2. And,
yes.
That's bare knuckle fighting.
And, for a guy your size, maybe people don't know or don't remember, like your jiu-jitsu is pretty damn great. Does that mean we're now just putting all that on the shelf, at least for now? I mean, you don't need to train that anymore, right? I mean, you might just do it for fun, but now you got to start focusing on your boxing primarily all the time. So,
correct. If you look at my striking style and what I teach, boxing has always been a foundation. I have a boxing coach I've had for years. Even with my other coaches in the past, Pat Miletich, Duke Rufus, boxing was always a foundation. We just added in the kicks and knees and all that. So that transition's easy. I've always loved it, and I like using my hands. I have a lot of knockouts with my hands. But the jiu-jitsu part's a sad part because I do have a passion. It was actually my first martial art, was learning jiu-jitsu. And then when I met Luis Claudio, it just went over the top, getting a submission over a guy like Josh Barnett and doing things like that with the submission game. I never really got to show what I could do on my back the last 5 years. Most of that's my fault. And it probably also had something to do with why I made this transition. But yeah, it's a little bit sad, but I guess, hey, maybe the door's open to do some jiu-jitsu competition somewhere else, or, something else happens. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of that.
All right. Were you relieved when the UFC said, yeah, we'll let you go test the market? Like, did you feel like you could make a hell of a lot more money outside and felt like the run in the UFC had come to an end? Or was there a part of you that was hoping that they would say, hey, we're going to give you this and that, and we want you to stick around?
Well, I came to them originally like wanting to. I've been with you for 13 years. Hey, I want to know that I'm going to go through another one of these training camps. Just let me know, like, hey, if I go through this and do well, I'm going to have another fight after. And it's just business. I get it. When they let go of Junior and at Overeem, there was a big flag for me that I knew they were making some big changes in the company because those, they wanted Junior especially wanted him there, and they didn't want him And I knew he was on a bad streak. I get it. You know, you can't lose 4 fights and just think it's normal. Like, obviously there's things in play there. But Wolverine's always been an anchor heavyweight. And that was kind of surprising. And I kind of knew the writing on the wall. It was like, older guys are getting rid of the older guys. So when I asked for release, it wasn't like relief. There was anxiety because I didn't know what was going to happen. There was a lot of unknown, but I was taking a chance on myself, and I believed in my management. So when they gave us the release, it was just like there was just those weeks of what's going to happen. You know, this is whole new territory for me. For 13 years, it's just about the next fight. I'm in the UFC. I have a contract. I'm good to go. And this was a whole new territory for me. You know, I haven't been here in a long time. And it was kind of exciting too, especially when offers started coming in and things like that. But initially, you know, I was in the unknown territory.
Was there any part of you that was thinking, let me get this last one, do something spectacular against a name like Gustafsson, and then I'll be an even bigger name? Or when they couldn't guarantee you, you know, something after this fight, did you feel like, okay, there's no point in going through with this?
So being with them, you know, I didn't have a good last fight. And I guess that's what probably led to me coming to this, because I was so upset with myself. Like, I do have really good jiu-jitsu. Like, everybody around me that trains me knows it. I've shown it, little blinks of it. And to go in my last fight and literally stand there and let a dude, a known striker, blast me in the nose and lose in 30 seconds, which has never happened in my entire career, was just, forget how disappointed everybody else is. I'm disappointed. It really, really upset me that I was foolishly going there and stand there and not be the aggressive fighter that I am. And, you know, it's like, oh, Ben, you're not going to get a chance to go to the UFC to get to win the title that you've always wanted. You know, at least go out there and knock a guy out before you leave. And all of those things went in my head, and I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm over it. I've done this for so long. I'm past the point where I need to be excited again. I want to fight in front of people again. I want to get with the fans. I want to get promoted. I want to have a win mean something, and just to get my character back. You know, not fighting in front of people and not being able to be myself has been crippling for me the last 5 years. You know, yeah, they threw a uniform on us, and basically I feel like my hands have been chained, and I just feel like there's so much more to me and more to show, and that's what's got me most excited. I get to be me again, and I get to come out and entertain and become the animal that I know I can be.
You mean you don't get excited fighting at the Apex? You don't like the Apex vibe?
It's not for me.
This is exciting. So are we going to see like you come out in some sort of like, what are we going to wear? Because I feel like there's a dark side.
I want to get fucking nuts, man. I'm ready to entertain.
Let's go, man.
Get going and
yes. What do we got? We got any ideas?
Come on now. You know how this goes. That's why you got to come watch me fight.
That's right.
We're going to find out the date, and you got to tune in and see what the hell.
Yeah, I didn't want the actual idea. I just wanted to know if you had ideas. I feel like you could come out to some sort of like Sith Lord type of thing, you know, with the the music. I mean, I feel like we could do something real sinister.
I'm with you.
Oh,
bring the Dark Lord back.
This is great. This is wonderful.
I want to be this multi-villain, though. I want to be able to just do a lot. There's a lot. Yeah, there's so many ideas, man. It's fun again. It's really fun. It's already shown in my training, and everybody around me just are like, you even sound different. It's because I'm excited again.
Wow.
I'm excited to show what this is about.
You know, some people who have maybe peas for brains will say like, oh, there goes Ariel hating again. No, the reason why we fall in love with fighters is because of their uniqueness, because they are these larger than life characters. They're sometimes quirky. They're sometimes sinister. That's why we fell in love with Chuck, right? Chuck, part of the reason was he had this look. He had the mohawk. He had the tattoo. He had the cool shorts. Tito had the cool shorts with the fire. Look at Tyson Fury coming out, sitting on a throne. Like, this is a part of the fight game. And when they slap these uniforms on you guys and you all kind of look the same, and now especially you add the Apex stuff to the concoction, it all just looks the same and feels the same every Saturday, except for once a month when they're going to a location for a pay-per-view. That's not why we fall in love with fighting. So you're echoing all the things that I say on this show almost on a weekly basis. And I'm happy to hear you say it because, the fans need to know that you guys don't like this as well, right? You're not signing up for this. You want to be yourself. You want to dress the way you want to dress. You want to act the way you want to act.
I had words with the brass right when the Reebok thing happened. After, for the Josh Barnett fight, I'm like, listen, it was my first, because I fought Mitrione and I got to do the cape. I laughed. Everybody was going nuts. I'm like, finally, I found my way. I'm in this. And I felt it. And then Josh Barnett came and I had my cloak on and they come out before I was about to enter and they're like, Ben, you got to take that off or they're going to, take your money away and this and that. And Reed Harris was the one that did it. But Reed was like, I knew it wasn't Reed. Like, he didn't want this. I just knew the brass was going to come down. I took the cape off. I'm like, dude, I don't want to cause any problems for you. I respect people behind the scenes in the UFC too much. There's a lot of people that never get talked about, and that's why the company's so awesome. People like him and Alien Medical. I'll just throw out some names real quick because I love those people. 13 years. I had a great experience working with everybody behind the scenes. They don't get enough credit. But anyway, that was at that moment. I'm like, I went out, I fought good against Josh, and then I called and got on the phone call with UFC Brass. I'm like, hey, listen, I'll let you guys keep my $10,000. Just let me wear my, cloak. Let me do my thing. And they go, listen, you try to wear that, and then we will stop the show. And I won't just take your Reebok money. I'll take your prize money. Like, we're going to charge you for not letting the fight happen. And all this came at me, and I'm just like, okay, all right.
Damn.
So I fight, but I've never been the same. I just feel like a part of me got taken away. I finally found something I was like, really love this. And it was just instantly, as fast as I got it, it was taken away. And it is what it is, man. It was business. For them, it makes total sense. If I'm the brass, I get it. It's a business. We need to make money. This is how we're making money. I get it. But as me as an athlete, it's absolutely sucked. And just how I felt for a lot of years. And as you said, can you just imagine WWE if every single guy came out wearing the same thing?
Yeah.
What makes WWE special? You got characters.
Yeah.
People love to get those individuals. And I love that aspect of it, but I was like a real life version of it.
Yeah.
There's no skit here. I get to be this. I'm going to go out and really fight a guy and really punch someone's fucking head in. It was a new excitement, and well, doesn't matter, Ariel. Moving forward, and this is what comes. This is what's coming now. Now we get to do it.
Oh man, what a scene. Now you're gonna let your real inner freak fly. I like this. You're just gonna let him. This is 7 years. That was 2015, I think, the Josh Barnett fight, right? If my memory serves me correct. 15, 16, something like that?
January 2016.
16, yeah, okay. Yeah. So,
but it's been too long.
6.5 years it's been. 6.5 years you've left. I can't even imagine what you're going to come out with whenever you make this debut. It's going to be super freak style. Look at
Keep talking like that. I don't have to go over the top, man.
Yeah. I love it. And no concerns about, the hands, a lot of breaks, the face, none of that. There's no padding here. It's bare knuckle. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, let me just tell you something. There's a secret.
Okay.
I don't wear hand wraps in my fights. They got onto that. And that glove comes to like here anyway. So I've been essentially fighting bare knuckle. Like, when you look at some of our faces after fights, like but you got to worry about elbows and knees and shins. So you can get brutalized in MMA pretty good, and you can put it on. So I just have some less weapons to deal with. I just worry about using these, and wow. God bless. I have rocks for hands, so it's a good fit for me.
How do you get away with not doing the wraps with the commission and all that?
I had to sign away that if I broke my hand or something, not all the time, but some commissions, I had to sign saying if I break my hand, I was on my own. So
wow.
I did it, no problem.
And why don't you like the wraps?
For me, it was restrictive. No matter how light I got the wrap, it would restrict some grip. And in MMA, my grip was a big deal.
Wow. And how long have you been doing this?
It became like a known thing. Okay, so we kept the wraps because they would make me just put tape, literally a tape around, and that was it. And I kept them. So Brendan Schaub was probably the first one that really said, I'm not wearing wraps no more.
Wow. You go to PF Chang's after that fight?
PF Chang. Why PF Chang? Where does this come from? I forget the joke. What the PF Changs?
That was stupid. So wow, no wraps. That's crazy. And you've never broken your hand?
Listen, don't put that shit on me, Ricky Bobby.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I haven't. So I'm good.
That's like
don't you put that hate on me.
I don't know if you're probably not a baseball fan. Are you a baseball fan?
Not so much.
There's a select few guys, and there were a couple on the team that I rooted for, the Montreal Expos, who didn't wear batting gloves, and they were like super anomalies. They didn't like the way it felt, and I mean that's super old school. So I mean that's what you were. I mean obviously you're punching someone in the face. It's completely different, even worse, and potentially more harmful. But I don't know if a lot of people do that. I think who is it? Someone with Faraz. Was it Rory? Someone told. Yeah, I think it was Rory who said he didn't like hand wraps too. But not a lot of people. So this is going to be cake. So to recap, you sign with BKFC, 3-fight deal, debut sometime in the summer. They should give you an immediate title shot. No, I mean I feel like you're going to waltz right in there. No.
Honestly, if I'm BKFC, you need to put me in there and let me get what everything you and I just talked about. There's got to be some buildup, right? Does a WWE star come in and go right to the title? No, he's got to have his introduction match.
All right. I was looking out for you.
Right? We got to build. We got to get people talking, brother.
All right. I was looking out for you. I can't wait to hear the laugh. I can't wait to see the outfit. I can't wait to see everything that you bring to the table. Finally, Big Ben gets to let his freak fly. Finally, we get to see the real you. After all this time being suppressed, 6.5 years, you are free, my friend. Congratulations on the deal. Congratulations on being free. And thank you so much for coming on the program and talking about this. I really appreciate it. I'm very happy for you.
Hey, likewise, it's an honor to come on and be with you. You've known their sport for so long, and you're a big voice for all of us. Combat sports.
Amen.
So thank you for doing your thing, and we're with you, brother.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. Congrats on the deal as well. I'm happy that you're getting paid what you deserve. So well done to you and the entire team on betting on yourself. Can't wait for the debut. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, there he is. Big Ben Rothwell, newest member of the BKFC team. That is big time news. What do you think of the PF Changs? Was it?
It was funny, but
It went over. What was the but?
But obviously he didn't know what you were talking about.
No, he didn't. Did you guys laugh at least?
Yeah, we all laughed.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate it. Wow. So when the news came out that the Ben Rothwell Alexander Gustafsson fight wasn't happening, I think most people thought, yeah, Ben got released. What happened? Well, now we find out that he essentially said to them, all right, what's the future here? And if there is no future, let me walk. And he walked and he got the deal. How about that? He got the big time deal from BKFC. And go back to some of those old school. Jedi Goodman always posts that one clip of him and John Anik where he does the laugh. Ha, 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 ha. It was incredible. I did a horrible job of recreating it. Anyway, point is, this guy's got some ideas. He's a character. Let him be himself. Let him be unique. Let him be different. And now we're going to get a chance to see that part of Ben Rothwell. I'm very excited about that. So congratulations to him and thank you to him and his team for coming on. Interestingly enough, I didn't actually set this up this way. It actually kind of occurred to me in the middle of the interview, but Ben was supposed to fight Alexander Gustafsson, and our next guest knows a thing or two about Alexander Gustafsson. Now, one of the main reasons why we wanted to have Andreas Michael, one of the best coaches in MMA, head man over at the All-Stars gym in Stockholm, Sweden, was, of course, to talk about the Khamzat fight. But this works out perfectly. Almost like I planned it, but I can't take that kind of credit. Nevertheless, let's go back to the Zoom machine and say hello to Andreas Michael, who's kind enough to join us on this Monday afternoon. There he is. Andreas, my friend, how are you, sir?
Fine, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Actually, I didn't necessarily plan it this way, as I just said, but I did want to ask you, we just had Ben Rothwell on the show who talked about leaving the UFC. He's signed with BKFC now, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. He was supposed to fight your guy, Alexander Gustafsson, next month in May. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we find out that he's out. So what's going on with Alex? Does he have a new opponent?
Yeah. He does. Soon
Oh.
you're all gonna find out.
I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but it just happened on the show, so it's a crazy thing. So he is gonna fight it in May. Is that still the plan?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it's soon. He's fighting soon. Yeah.
Okay, heavyweight or light heavyweight?
Light heavyweight.
Ooh, okay. So we're changing things.
Yes.
What do you like better for him, heavyweight or light heavyweight?
I like light heavyweight actually. I like light heavyweight because the way that we've beaten the
right.
That's the top guys are light heavyweight, so it's a no-brainer. Like light heavyweight is where he should be, but he's a big boy, so he needs to stop eating.
That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
How long have you been coaching MMA for?
I've been coaching MMA I was the Olympic boxing coach for Sweden before, and so I used to get guys like Alex that were good boxers, good strikers. I bring them into the camps that we had, and in boxing there's so much politics, Ariel. So I'm not in this to do politics. I'm in this for the passion of the game, for the love of the game, And I just want to do my best to win. And when politics gets in the way of that, then I decided, there's too many people talking too much shit. I can't handle this. I had to deal with the Olympic committee. I had to deal with the clubs. I had to deal with all these guys. I said fuck this. I'm going to go and do the way that I believe, and I'm going to do it the way that I want to be, and I'm going to have an iron hand, reign of tyranny, So and I did, and I said MMA was at that time in Sweden was non-existent. It was at that time. MMA was boxing professional boxing was even banned. It was illegal here. So we had the Mount Everest to climb. It was a Mount Everest. So Alex is actually one of the pioneers of European MMA, and in Sweden as well. One of the pioneers of. He brought the first. He filled the first arena up in Sweden. Yeah, we can say.
Wow. And so comparing what happened, Alex's rise, you were by his side. He fights for the UFC title. I was there at the Globe Ericsson Arena. I think it was 2015.
Exactly, I remember.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh
yeah.
My God. One of my favorite trips ever. What a beautiful city you have, Stockholm. It was incredible.
Thank you.
And is it even possible to compare what you experienced with him to what you're experiencing now with Khamzat? Is there any comparison, or is it completely different?
Different times. Different times. It's very, very different. If Alex was now the way he was back then, it would be a little bit of a different story now, because now you have more sponsors, you have more money in the game, you have more opportunities, you have more of everything in the sport. So right now, you have the social media is going crazy. They're getting more interviews, you're getting more time. It's if you're good, you can make decent money, good money. Back then, it wasn't. Even if you're good, you're still the sport it's developing. So you're just fighting to put the sport on the map, to put the sport in the country, to put the sport on the limelight in the media here. So he more or less paved the way for the people that are. I'm not just saying it's only Alex. There's a few guys that have paved the way as well, but he was one of them. One of the big pioneers of this sport, in Sweden. So it's a little bit easier now for things to happen that can help a fighter get to where he is, because he doesn't have hasn't got the odds against him. as much as what it was before, you know? So if you can think that like professional boxing was banned here.
Wow. Yeah.
That's the situation that we were fighting against, you know?
Do you remember the first time you met Khamzat?
Of course.
What year was it?
It was 2016, 2016, somewhere there, 2016, okay. Yeah.
And what's the story?
The story was that he came and he just like started like brawling with people. He
just walked into the gym? No one gave you a heads up? He just walked in the gym.
He goes, hey, I want to be as good as Alex. I want to be as good as all these guys. I'm gonna like crush everyone. You know? So.
And did he have any fights, anything like that under his belt at the time?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. It was a wrestler that came in, and I was thinking like, oh my God, another one of these nutcases that just comes in and it's like, yeah, it's tough for like 5 seconds, and then that's about it.
Right.
As soon as he gets a taste of his own medicine, he's gonna like piss off, you know. But that was not the case. That was not the case. I was like, oh, we have something here.
Wow.
Like, you know, it was like he zero technique, just brawling and shooting for the like crazy to take guys down because he didn't have any striking. Like he didn't have any grappling. He just came in like raw, like a raw wrestler, like that was like, and I saw a lot of potential. The team saw a lot of potential in him. And we just started working. In 4 years, he's ranked number 2 in the world now. Because his first MMA professional fight was 2018.
Wow!
So it took us 4 years to get into the number 2 spot.
Does that surprise you? Like if I would have talked to you in 2018 and you were obviously high on him, and I said, oh, in 4 years he's going to be number 2 in the world, would you have believed me, or would you have said, I think we'll need like 5, 6, 7 years?
No, because I would be the one that would be telling you that.
Oh, wow. So you believed it?
I would be the one that would be telling you that, yeah. Because that's how much I believed in him.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how much I believe in him. That's how much we'll believe in him. And it's a work in progress, you know. Like a lot of people talking a lot of shit, like talking out of their asses, you know. Like, and you know, you can't make everyone happy. Like if you knock the guy out like in 2 seconds, they would have said like, oh, but his conditioning, like, oh, but he hasn't got hard. He has to be tested. He has to be this. So you can't make everyone happy. Of course, I didn't like the way that he wanted to knock the guy out and show everyone that, look, I'm just going to walk through this guy as well. Of course, we had the game plan, and the game plan was that you should just keep it simple. And Khamzat is very talented in striking, but like, of course, he needs a lot of experience, and the experience is what he was lacking that evening, and that's what he got. A lot of experience, right. The hard way, you know. And people say that, oh, he's conditioning and all this and all that. Like, I disagree, Ariel. I disagree, because if he didn't have any condition, he wouldn't be able to like pull out that win, you know. It takes a lot. Think about this, like you're running a 100-meter tempo in a race. You're running a race, but you have 100-meter tempo in a 3-kilometer race, you know. And you're pushing the tempo all the time. Every shot that you're throwing is like 100%. Like every shot that you're delivering, you're missing. You know, it takes twice as much energy to miss than what it does to hit. You know, so if you're missing, you're getting tired. You know, so he goes in there and he tries to knock the guy's head off, like from the first moment, like which was not the plan. You know, the plan was to just box him, like keep the jab going, because that's the way to be. That's the way to handle that situation, you know. And he did absolutely everything we didn't work on. And he just wanted to show the people, listen, I'm here. I'm going to walk through this guy. But there's a reason why these guys are there. Like the number 2, number 1, the champions. They're there because they're fucking tough. You know, they're tough dudes. Respect to them. You know, so if you understand that, and that comes with experience. If you understand that, then you have the patience to handle that situation, and that will make you maybe finish him in 1 or 2 rounds. But you need that patience, and that patience comes with experience. You know, remember, Khamzat has nearly never gone like past the first round. You know, so he just when you feel like it's like Tyson the first time that he went like the 12 rounds, everyone was like, oh my God, he got exposed. You know, what did everyone say like when Makhachev like got knocked out like on the Alexander versus Cormier on that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, in 192. Like what did everyone say about Makhachev? Makhachev is one of my favorite fighters. You know, like they're not saying that about him right now.
Right.
What did they say about like Khabib, for example, when he fought against Thibaut? Like that, you know, like, and look what these are the great fighters, but it's how you handle adversity that shows that you're great fighter. And not every performance can be spectacular, you know, but you pull off the win anyway. And I don't think, absolutely not, that we lost that fight. That was like a clear win for us, absolutely. But it was messy. And when people see from a destructive performance that he's giving every to a little bit more close performance and a little bit more messy, not picture perfect, then all of a sudden it becomes like, oh, he lost the fight. But what is like significant strikes? Is significant strikes the ones that you block as well? I don't know. I'm asking you. Is there significant strikes? Do they count the blocks as well?
Right.
Because they're blocking a hell of a lot of shots. Okay, I was eating a lot of shots as well, but it's blocking a lot of shots as well. So in boxing, if you block shots, you don't count the significant strikes, you know? So I don't know. Like, so for me, like, it's you know, I was telling him, like, just keep it simple. Use your jab. Don't look for the power. The power will come. Look, you're trying to knock this guy out, and you're putting everything you got, and all of a sudden he's become immune to that. Then all of a sudden, we go into he comes into the corner after the second round, and I go off at him. I just like, listen, he said, do not fight with him, box with him. Don't make this harder than what it has to be. This is simple if you just keep it simple. I said to him, use your fucking jab. Excuse me for my language.
No, it's okay.
Like, use your jab, I said to him. Like, directly, he jabs him, he turns southpaw and he jabs him and he drops him. And that shot was not harder than the shots I was putting in before, but it was precise, you know? And it was where it landed where it should be. And all of a sudden, it's not about the power at that moment. It's about like keeping the game plan, keeping it simple, keeping your distance, not falling in and getting caught by the overhand, which was the only shot. You understand? Like every time he threw his right hand, Gilbert would come over with the overhand over the top because he was dropping his left. Like, and he was falling into the shots. All he had to do was just keep the distance and work in and out and pressure him without actually doing a lot. Have you seen the Canelo versus Smith fight?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Canelo was not doing anything in the first part of the fight, but Smith was like exhausted because he couldn't keep him off him. At the same time, Canelo was like just picking his shots and not doing a lot, but still Smith was getting stressed by the pressure that Canelo was putting. And it's just it's active and what do we say, like pressure, significant pressure, you know, like let's call that significant pressure that you don't do a lot, but you do just enough so the opponent gets stressed and works to just create something because you're just walking him down, you know? but at the same time keeping your distance. So that was what the game plan. That's what worked for the 2 months, 2.5 months.
You know what I love about that answer that you just gave me? I was talking about like the early days. You went straight into the Gilbert Burns fight, and then you proceeded to answer 5 of the questions that I wanted to ask you about the Gilbert Burns, all in that one answer. You did the whole thing. You told me the whole story right there without me even asking any questions. Yeah. That moment, though, when you were yelling at him in between the second and third, it was very powerful. Obviously, we couldn't understand what you were saying. It wasn't in English. Have you ever gotten mad at him like that before? And I don't want to say like you were scolding him per se, but you were very fired up. It seemed to me like you were telling him exactly what you were saying. Like, you need to chill out here and stop getting into this brawl with him.
The thing is that these kids, like my family, they're like a part of my family, you know. So these fights are not that healthy when you have them. You know, like you're not going to get any smarter. You're not going to get any healthier from having like such brawls. Sometimes, you know, it happens, but if you can avoid it, it's like do it. Understand? Then you say we already have like killer sessions at the gym. So for you not to be in this situation, so I just got infuriated seeing him like be in this situation that is harmful and risk everything he's worked for. Okay, if the guy is like if it's necessary, but this was unnecessary, and I told it, and I got very upset, and I just told him like, listen. We've been working for this for like 10 weeks. You're like, stop jeopardizing this because you want to show everyone that you're the man. Understand? He's like, you are the man, but keep it simple. Keep your jab going. He said, keep it to what we've been working on. Like, and at the end of the day, he said, nobody's going to love it. I'm not saying nobody, but you know, but people love a winner. So just win the fucking fight, you know. I don't remember like John Jones's fights.
Yeah,
like in his last part of his career, they haven't been spectacular. But nobody remembers that. You look at like shit. You see like win like this. Yeah, that's at the end of the day. It's like that's what people like remember. Sad to say, you know, they love a winner and they forget about a loser. You know, so. Like, I'm not saying he's going to do. I'm pushing him to do boring fights. What I'm saying is that it's to do more intelligent fights, and he has the ability. People are telling me like, he has to move his head more to give him advice and all this and all that. You know, like, guys, I've been around the block. I've done this for a while now. You know. Like some of that I've cornered against Lomachenko, I've cornered against Usyk, I've cornered against like Gamboa, I've cornered against like guys like Anthony Joshua, I've cornered against like guys like that. We've been in the same training camps with them. You know, like I understand, I know what's happening. He can do all these things, but he just didn't want to. Is that such a hard thing to understand? He did not want to. You know, and when he decided that, okay, now I'm going to start working properly, he showed flashes of greatness, you know, in the fight, of the simplicity can be, you know, and that's no disrespect to Gilbert. He's a tough dude. My God, really tough. The shots that he took, the shots that he gave, both guys, respect to them. It was an amazing fight for a fan that likes to see a tear up, you know. But that's not what we're after, are we? We're after the belt, and we're after the best way to win. Like Cormier said once, the best way to win is the easiest way to win. You know, and I believe that, of course.
So, if it was up to you, who do you want to see him fight next? Who would you like to see him fight next?
I would like to see him fight Colby. Why? Colby, we're a good fight. Like we're after fighting the best, yeah. So Colby's like the next step up. And we just keep on going. You know, Ariel, I think a little bit different. You know, I don't think like the average person. No, I think a little bit like I think like this. Like, if we should fight the best, and if we're not good enough to be there, then we shouldn't be there. You know, like that's how I think. Because right now it's like it doesn't get easier. You know, it just gets tougher. And if we can't handle these guys that Usman has handled, then we're gonna have a problem. And he can handle them, and he will handle them, and he will win. You know, it's just that listening comes with experience. He can train, like, it's not about training harder. Nobody can train harder than him. Like, you know, I've seen a lot of the trainings out there. He trains like a beast. He's like, you know, a lot of people like say like he was overtrained, he was of this, that. No, he wasn't. Absolutely not. You have seen like what he did like the week before that. Like how he handled everyone the week before that. I had a hard time finding sparring for this guy. I have a hard time finding training partners for this guy. God bless everyone that has helped us. And God bless all the training partners, you know, like they're amazing guys. Amazing, because it's not easy training with him. I'm telling you. Not easy training. He has a high tempo and he trains a lot, and he expects a lot from like his training partners as well. So if they can't handle it, a lot of guys, like the majority of them, they can't handle it. So it's tough, like finding just guys to train with him, because he's like it's a lot. But if you're after doing insane results, you have to be insane as well. You have to be like, if you're training just like everyone else, you're going to be like everyone else. You know. Like the body it does what you tell it to do, and what you accustom it to do. You know, there's people like in Guatemala that go up the mountain like and come down like 13 hours every day carrying like packs of like sulfur like on their backs like that 100 kilos. That's like nearly 250 pounds. You know, like, and they do that for like their whole lives, and they don't get out overtrained. So asking somebody to train every day for like 4 hours. Like, and I'm not saying 4 hours high intensity. 4 hours like is 4 hours of training, you know. And we follow like the peak seasons, the camps, the off season, on season. You know, I've been around like with the Olympic training regime. So like I've written like the training systems that the Olympics does, you know. So that has done before. So this is the regimes that we put forth, and it's not easy. Of course, it's not easy. You know, like so. He works hard, and God bless him. Is that it showed it on the night, because nobody that like hasn't got the condition, nobody that doesn't work hard could survive and pull out a win like that.
Could I ask, when do you think he'll return? When do you want him to return, given how that fight went?
Well, this is where I have to use my experience now and hold him back, because fights like that take a little bit of time for the body to recover. You know, so I would like him to fight like maybe in September, October, somewhere there.
And
that's
do you think,
if he listens to me.
Sure. And do you think Colby will take the fight? Do you think it has a chance of happening?
I don't know. I hope so. God bless them all. It's like they're all doing the best to like make money, like win, feed their families, you know. Like, so I just hope like that we take steps forward. People are talking about other fights, and for me, if I could choose, I'm not interested in any other fight. Like, I want steps forward. I don't want steps back. You know, I don't want anyone building their name on our name. I want us to build our name on the guy's name.
Of course.
No, if you understand what I mean.
That's the game.
So, yeah.
And then I'm assuming all goes well against Colby, then there's nowhere else to go but title shot, right? In your mind, you beat Colby, you fight Usman, or the winner of Usman versus Leon Edwards.
Hopefully, Leon gets his title shot. I think he's worth it. Like, I think he's been through a lot, and respect to Leon. You know, he's a good guy. Good guy. Like, met him a couple of times. Usman's a great guy as well. Like, you know, all these guys at the end of the day, it's like if you get them one-on-one in a room, like by themselves, like, they're fantastic guys. You know, then some of them put a show here, put a show there, like just trying to make money. You know, but at the end of the day, is that I hope that we get Colby, and then once we've, with God's help, we win that fight, then we get the winner of Usman versus Leon. Yes.
Are you going to be a part of Darren Till's career at this point? I know he has his team that he's very close with, but he's become very close with your team as well. Are you going to start cornering him too?
Well, he's coming like in two. We're on Saturday. We're opening our gym in Spain.
Oh, right.
Like All-Star Spain.
Wow,
yeah,
congrats.
So we're opening that gym. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. It's an amazing center. It's nearly as big as the PI.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, so it's 5,000 square meters. So indoors, outdoors, like so. We're all gonna meet there for the grand opening on the 30th of April, which is a Saturday. This Saturday coming, and we're gonna talk about like his training camp. Yeah, he wants to come back to Sweden. He wants to continue the training that he likes it. So if he likes it, then absolutely. Before I don't believe in forcing anyone to do anything they don't want to.
Sure.
You know, even in training, like, because if you force it, then it doesn't come from one's will, you know, and that will you need when you're in the cage. It has to come from you, you know. So for me, I just say to everyone, like, listen, this is how I train people. And if you want to be a part of it, if you want my attention, then you have to follow the methods that I use, you know? And if you don't want to, that's fine. We have a lot of coaches at the gym. We all work together, but in the evenings, we divide our fighters like accordingly, because there's too many for one coach, you know? So what we do is like, we all work together in the mornings, like helping each other grow. Then it's like, one guy might need a little bit more boxing, so he works with the boxing coach. One guy might need a little bit more grappling, so he works with the grappling. So it according to what is needed, then the coach is like take the right fighter for them, you know. And maybe like I'm not like haven't got the right mentality to be able to click with one fighter. So, but another coach does, like. And so like we try to just assemble and suit every situation, you know. But if people want to train with me giving my energy and focus with them, then it's like I have like these expectations, and if they want to, then it's like they can follow, they can come and train with me. And this is what I said to Darren. This is what's on the table, like, and. He followed everything. He's like outstanding, very, very, very hard worker. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that he's gonna. We're looking to get a fight soon, hopefully.
Can I ask you before I let you go, because of your experience, all this talk of Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury? Just curious, like, you know, as a boxing guy and an MMA guy now, do you think Francis has a chance to beat Fury?
Well, there's talk about Canelo versus Usman as well, and there's talk about like
that one feels like a little bit of a long shot. The Francis one is like the hot one, right? You know, I'm sure you saw.
The Francis one is, I think it might be done because Tyson got retired like after his last win now. So, and he said that he's up for just making money. You know, so
skill-wise, like knowing what you know about the sweet science, you see Francis, you think he has a chance, or do you think he's in? No, okay.
You know, like Francis is like the difference with Tyson Fury and Francis is like that Tyson's a pedigree boxer. You know, he's done this his whole life, so he's like sharpened his skills on that. Whereas Francis, he hasn't got that experience. He hasn't got that like decade or decades of like handling like 12 rounds, fighting against the best, like having the crisp, clean, nice footwork boxing. But what he has that you can't count him out is the power, you know. And in heavyweights, that you can never count that out. Like power is like one shot can finish everything. But you know, Tyson is Tyson. So I think that it's a money fight for Francis. God bless him. And I think it's a good fight for Francis. because it's going to take care of his future, you know. And I think that it's a positive. Yeah.
This was great, Andreas. Thank you so much. I love the insight. Love everything that you had to say. I really appreciate the time. Congrats on the win. Don't listen to the idiots. Tremendous win. I think it was a massive win. And keep up all the great work over there. And congratulations on the gym opening in Spain this weekend as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Take care.
Pleasure. There he is, Andreas Michael, the head man over at the All-Stars Gym in Stockholm. And as he just said, they're opening up a new gym in Spain as well. Alex told us about that gym recently. We spoke about that the last time he was on the program. Great stuff, honest stuff, authentic stuff, brutally honest stuff regarding Khamzat Chimaev's win over Gilbert Burns earlier this month, and consistent with what a lot of the smart people were saying. Like, look, you know, sometimes you get into a brawl and you want to wow the crowd. You want to hit that home run, that grand slam, and you get away from what you've been doing. And I can't imagine being a coach who's worked with a guy for 10 weeks, who's known him for 7 years or so, and you're like, golly, this isn't what we planned for. This isn't what we worked on. But we've heard this time and again, especially with the great ones, the young ones, the somewhat inexperienced ones. They get in there and, you know, the adrenaline kicks in, the buzz kicks in, the emotion kicks in, and you just want to get that quick knockout. More often than not, you stick to the game plan. You use things like jabs. You slow and steady, patience. You don't look for the home run punch. Good things happen, and you saw what happened in the first and third round. I thought it was pretty clear. I don't know how anyone could score that fight for Gilbert. It was a close fight, but to me, it was a clear fight. First and third for Khamzat, second for Gilbert. A fun fight. Curious to see what would have happened if it was a 5-round fight, but here we go. Colby been very quiet about Khamzat, about everything, really, since this fight happened. Even Bilal Muhammad the following week winning, talking about Colby as well. Very quiet, somewhat uncharacteristically quiet. So we'll see where they go from here. But in my opinion, if I had to say, it's Khamzat versus Colby next. That's the fight. That's the one at 170. And it's the biggest one for both guys, honestly. Unless Colby wants to try to work his way up at 85. To me, it's the biggest fight for both guys. Now, another story that broke over the past 10 days since we were away is that Dan Hardy is, in fact, going to fight again. It's going to be in the sport of boxing, as he hinted the last time we spoke to him. And it's going to be against Diego Sanchez, not Tyron Woodley, who had been, rumored. It's going to be Diego Sanchez. It's going to be July 2nd. It's going to be in Manchester, England. It's going to be on the same card as the returning Ricky Hatton. Yes, Ricky Hatton himself, the hitman, returning against Marco Antonio Barrera on July 2nd. And they just had a press conference about it, and I wanted to talk to Dan about all of this. So without further ado, let's go back to the Zoom machine and say hello to the hitman himself, the outlaw, The hitman is fighting on the card as well, but this is the outlaw, Dan Hardy. Just had the press conference yesterday, I think it was, right, Dan?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, yesterday.
Okay, so congratulations on this. Wow, I have a lot of questions. How did we end up with you being on this card? Was this the card that you were always talking about? Was this what is the promotion here? What is it called?
They're called Europa Combat. This will be their first event. They've been predominantly doing music entertainment up until this point, but I think they've seen what's going on in combat sports, and they've decided to unite the two worlds together. It's going to be a big party. It's going to be a big celebration. Ricky Hatton coming out of retirement in Manchester. They've got a bunch of music artists as well performing. Should be a good night. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, and why Diego as the opponent?
Because he was the guy that said yes. The option was put to a few people, and Diego was the one that accepted. Eagle FC have released him to do an exhibition match, and I'm appreciative of that. And I think it's a good one. Diego's been active. He's fought a bunch of times since the last time I fought. He fought recently as well, and I thought he looked good against Kevin Lee. And I've been out 10 years, so it makes sense for me to fight someone that A, is going to push me, but B, is not throwing myself in at the deep end. I mean, obviously, someone like Anderson Silva would be a dream matchup, especially in boxing, but I need to dust my gloves off first, and I think Diego's a good first matchup. Who
was your top choice?
Well, I mean, we were chasing the Tyron Woodley fight. that was the main thing. That was the fight that they wanted on this card because of the, the tension, the animosity, and the storyline that had naturally developed around it. But Tyron just wasn't interested. I don't know whether after his last fight, he just realized he doesn't have the spark for it anymore or what. But I respect his decision, but the offer was put to him and it was good money as well. So, I don't know what his reasons were for turning it down, but I just know that he wasn't keen.
So for those that don't know, this is a boxing match. Can you tell us the rules? Because you said exhibition, right? So that's 2-minute rounds. How many rounds total? How big are the gloves?
Yeah, we're doing 8 2-minute rounds, and we're wearing 16-ounce gloves. So, I mean, they're sparring gloves, no headgear, but they're also, there's no judges, but of course I'm not planning on it going the distance anywhere. Neither is Diego. So it'll be a fight, but we'll be wearing bigger gloves to give ourselves a bit more leeway.
And what weight?
185. That's the weight we're meeting at. I've agreed to be, I've agreed to come in at under 185. I mean, I think there's a couple of pound allowance either side, just because it is an exhibition match. But I want to make sure that I'm coming in shape and that I don't have any kind of weight advantage over Diego. Although seeing him at the press conference yesterday, I mean, he's a chunk. The man is. You should see the forearms on him. He's got forearms like barrels. It's ridiculous.
And is there a cap? Like, can you not weigh a certain amount come Saturday night?
No, there's no cap, but I won't be cutting weight. I mean, I'm 191 right now, and I've still got 10 weeks before the fight. So, my intention is I won't cut any weight to make 185. I'd like to come in about 182, really, which was the weight that I would start cutting from for welterweight.
Have you ever fought at 85 in your entire career?
No. I mean, I've most of the time I've been over 185 in my career. Sure. The times I was stepping on the scales at 170, I was only 170 for a short period of time. Even in my last fight, when I cut 6 pounds, I was still up over 180 by the time fight night came around. But to be honest, I was always too big in my career. The reality is now, if I was turning pro as an MMA fighter now, I would be a lightweight.
Wow.
I've done the DEXA scan and they've said lightweight, would be my weight class. Height and reach wise as well, I'd probably be a lightweight. So a lot of the weight that I was carrying while I was competing professionally as an MMA fighter, I don't really think it did a great deal for me, to be honest. It seemed to slow me down. So I really want to be lighter this time around and to make sure that there's no concern about weight cutting or anything.
And just curious, why boxing and not MMA for your return?
To be honest, there wasn't a particular reason. I mean, this was just the offer that came through. I was discussing Muay Thai with one championship, as well as kickboxing and MMA fights with them. I've had a couple of other offers from different promotions as well for MMA and Muay Thai. But this was the one that made the most sense. I mean, Ricky Hatton's always been a hero of mine. Marco Antonio Barrera is one of my favorite fighters to watch as well. I get to fight on the undercard of these guys who were my heroes, and it's going to be a good time. I've done everything other than box. That's the one thing I've never done. And there was a point in my career where I did consider going down the boxing route instead, just because, to be honest, it seemed like a bit of an easier path than MMA. You could get regular fights. You had more control over your opponents. The money was better, of course. But I decided to take the hard route and went MMA instead. And I've always kind of had in the back of my mind that I would like to just step in there and try boxing. I've worked hard on my hands. I like the idea of being very restricted into a skill set where I'm going to be tested. And Diego's a crazy man. He doesn't throw like a regular boxer. He's southpaw. He's awkward. He's aggressive. So he presents a lot of challenges for me, even as a boxer.
And so, all right, so you're coming back at your last fight, September of 2012, September 29th, 2012. So we are approaching 10 years exactly by the time you fight, just a few months shy. Any concerns about your cardio? Any concerns about just doing this again? I mean, 10 years is 10 years. Any seeds of doubt in there? How are we feeling confidence-wise?
I feel great, honestly. I mean, I went and did my cardiology tests at the end of last year. And I feel fantastic. My condition's good. My weight's down, as I said. Even today at the gym, the guys are saying, "Oh, I can see that you've got a fight coming up." My cheekbones start to stick out a bit more. It really, honestly feels like no time has passed. I know it's nearly 10 years, but it doesn't feel like it at all. And I've been fortunate in the last 10 years, I've learned a lot without taking any damage. So yeah, I'm 40 in a few weeks, but I just don't feel like it. I feel quite sharp. I feel very, very smart by comparison to how I used to be. I watch my old fights and it makes me uncomfortable, the amount of mistakes that I make. And I do feel like I've gotten better. And, this is a good opportunity for me to have a goal, have a target, get in shape and get a good 8 rounds under my belt against someone that I know is ready to fight. And then, see where the options are from there. But the good thing is I'll be in fight shape by that point, and all of the doubt that's been around me coming back will be hopefully put to rest, because people will be able to see me on the scales, in the ring with gloves on, trading punches, and they'll be able to see, what I've been talking about for these last 10 years, that I'm ready to fight.
So in your mind, this isn't a one-off?
No, I don't think so. I think the career of fighting is going to be fairly short-lived. I wouldn't consider it to be any longer than sort of, another 2 years. But there are options. I've had so many good options put forward. Like I said, John Wayne Parr was a great option. He's had his retirement fight now. But over in one championship, there are great options. Nicky Holskin, Eddie Alvarez, Shinya Aoki. I've had great Muay Thai fights put in my direction as well for a variety of promotions. So I'll see. I don't feel like it's going to be one and done. Absolutely. And I don't know whether I'll stick with boxing and have another boxing match afterwards, maybe even have a sanctioned professional boxing match in 10-ounce gloves. That would also be a good option for me. But my options are open. I'm a free agent for the first time in a long time, and I'm actually cleared to fight.
And so this could be the gateway to returning to MMA as well. Like you mentioned those names in one championship. A lot of those guys are MMA fighters. That door now opening up again.
Yeah, I think so. I'm interested in any rule set, to be honest. Boxing's nice because it gives me a single-mindedness to focus on in training camp. But I'm a Muay Thai fighter at heart. So, if there are kicks to be thrown, kicks, knees and elbows, then that'd be great. And the other good thing as well, One Championship are doing really interesting things with hybrid rules now. We saw the DJ Mighty Mouse fight. There's been speculation that they're going to do the same thing with a few other guys, Nicky Holskin against Eddie Alvarez in some kind of hybrid kickboxing rules. I'm interested to see what they're doing. And, I've probably got another 18 to 24 months of push and drive left in me before I need to start thinking about winding it down. So I want to go out with a bang, fight a few legends. I'm not really bothered, honestly, about the results. I just like to share the space with these individuals. Like Diego's felt like he was on a collision course with me for a long time. We've always kind of been posturing to fight one another. But, it'd be an honor to fight Diego, but it would also be an honor to be able to step in there against some of the other greats in combat sports. And, while I'm young enough to do it, I might as well have a go.
What was your vibe that you got from him yesterday at the press conference? Different kind of cat Diego is. What did you take away from the space that you shared with him yesterday?
It was really good. He was very respectful. I thought he gave a really good account of himself. He seems to be a lot clearer minded now. He's not got that warlock in his back, in his corner, messing with his mind. He seems to be a lot more grounded and a lot more focused. Of course, Diego's a bit of a wild card. He always has been. When I first met him just after the Ultimate Fighter many years ago, he was talking about how he was like a race car and all kinds of madness. He's always been a bit crazy. But he seems to be very certain of who he is now. He went through COVID last year. He went through all the drama with his ex-wife and his crazy coach, and he's had some real trials and tribulations. But it's brought him to a place where he seems to have a lot of clarity. One thing he said yesterday is that he now has a lot of respect for his opponents because he realizes that he can't do it without them. And I very much feel the same. For the people that were offered this fight and turned it down, the fact that Diego's taken it automatically has my respect. And he just seems very happy to be competing. It's not about championships or anything at this stage. I don't think either of us are under the illusion that we've got a long, illustrious career ahead of us. Diego's already achieved so much already. And, my career was kind of cut short is how it feels. So maybe the 2 years that I was going to continue fighting after the Sadala fight, it just starts again now. But as a free agent.
What is it like for the first time in almost a decade? Like you are waking up and you actually have a date, you have an opponent, like just that in your mind? What does that feel like? You're not talking about the ifs, the maybe, the comeback, this. Like there is something happening. There's a press conference, there's a venue, there's all this stuff. What is that like for you?
Well, the press conference made it feel very real. And the fact that Diego made the trip over to the press conference as well made it very real because, I know he's serious about the fight. I was able to look him in the eyes and I know he's up for it. I know he feels confident that he can beat me. And that's really what I want out of an opponent. Getting out of bed in the mornings, 10 times easier when you've got a fight on the horizon. You've got a moment where you're going to be held accountable for your training and your conditioning and your skills. And, that is something that is lacking when you don't have a fight on the horizon. For me, this is a focal point. It's something for me to drive myself to. I feel great. Like I said, I'm about 190 at the moment. I've been fasting for 20 hours now. This is the start of training camp. I'm going to do a training session after this and get some bone broth in my system. And then I'll be ready for the next day. Day one's in the bag. Wait a second. You just kind of like glossed over that part. You've been fasting for 20 hours? And then you're going to train, and then you're going to get bone broth in your system. Yeah. It's like a reset for me. I ate a lot of calories over the weekend to try and give myself a good start for the training camp. But I like a fast at the start of training camp. It's a good way of sharpening my mind, resetting my digestive system, and giving me some clarity with my diet. Once you've fasted, the last thing that you want to do is start eating loads of rubbish afterwards. I want simple, basic things now, vegetables and proteins. And the best thing after a long fast is bone broth. You get all the collagen, all the nutrients back into your system and get some hydration as well. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize you were doing this in the midst of a fast. And you'll do 2 training sessions. Yes. No, I'll train tonight. I'll do a fasted training session. So it's almost 8 p.m. now. Yeah. And I've been fasting since 10 p.m. yesterday. Dang. And I'll do a fasted training session, some kettlebells and some Airdyne. And then I'll get a meal with, limited but focused calories. And then I'll wake up tomorrow morning and check my weight. And I expect to be under 190 tomorrow. And then I'll get a good hard training session in the morning, get some bag work done. And then, we're rolling at that point. And you've been doing this your whole career, this like sort of start of the camp fasting situation? Yeah, I've used fasting for various different reasons. Especially when I was traveling internationally, I would use fasting to reset my digestive system and my circadian cycle for the travel. Like say when I was fighting out in Japan, I would have breakfast in the UK on UK time, and then I would fast until I arrived in Japan and could eat breakfast on Japanese time. And it would like reset my body clock to that time zone, so I wouldn't have jet lag. It was something I've used like quite consistently through my career. So I didn't feel nauseous and bloated. I didn't have any problems with like water retention or anything like that. And, the other thing as well, there's no confusion around what's going to happen to your body when you're traveling, because if all you're taking in is water, then you're just not going to gain any kind of unnecessary weight. So it's always been a good regulator for me, a fast, like intermittent fasting, or at the last Fight Island, I did a 3-day fast when I got there. And just I felt amazing. I feel very, very sharp mentally and very, very, very tuned in. Got it. Wow. That is fascinating. What is it like being on the dais with Ricky Hatton? Like for you, is that surreal? What was that like? Yeah, very surreal, very surreal. Ricky was at the height of his boxing career when I was coming up back in the day. And, I used to watch his countdown shows, the 24/7s that HBO used to do and watch his training. And, he was a massive inspiration for me. I loved his body work, his ability to step around people against the ropes and hammer their body, and his work ethic as well. The one thing I tried not to do was to do the whole weight gain and weight loss thing. Yes. For me, that's really kind of what took it out of him in the last few years of his career. But, like when he fought Costa Tszyu, it was one incredible performance. And then, you say the same thing for Barrera when he beat Prince Nassim. Nassim was a very difficult individual to deal with, and Barrera just put it on him with really good basics. So, both of the main event fighters have been inspirations for me, but particularly Ricky Hatton, watching him walking out to the sold out MEN arena before I fought there against Mike Swick. That was a good training exercise for me, because I was able to picture that arena, picture the walkout, and imagine that adrenaline rush. and he just captivated it so well. The Ricky Hatton band were there yesterday at the press conference, playing trumpets and banging drums. People are excited for him to be back.
By the way, the arena is not, is it like, did MEN change its name, or is this a different arena?
Yeah, no, it's the same arena.
Okay,
they just keep changing their names. MEN was the Manchester Evening News. That was the sponsor at the time. This is the reason why the UFC aren't going back to Liverpool, is because they've got a different sponsor at the arena.
Come on.
The sponsor won't allow combat sports.
You're kidding. The Echo?
No. Yeah. The Echo's no longer the Echo. I think it's the M&S Arena, Marks and Spencer. It's a different brand, and they won't allow combat sports.
What?
So that's what's putting the block on Paddy and Molly coming back to Liverpool. Very, very sad. Really disappointing. And very short-sighted of that brand.
Jeez Louise, what a crazy thing. I mean, that event would sell out in like 3 seconds.
It'd be incredible. I mean, Cage Warriors, when Paddy and Molly were on the card, were unreal. The roof would go off, and then all of a sudden all the kids would come back and put the railings back up, put the lights back up. They're a very respectful crowd, but they're wild for it. And a UFC, Darren Till against Wonderboy was there. What a fantastic event it was. And Molly and Paddy have electrified that city like nobody else. It's a real shame that they're not going to be able to put that event on in Liverpool.
That is crazy. Wow, I didn't know that was what the reason why it was not happening there. By the way, I want to ask you, since we're talking about boxing and everything, I'm assuming you saw Tyson Fury, Dillian White on Saturday. What did you think of Tyson's performance?
He's spectacular, isn't he? I didn't really, to be honest, expect anything other than that kind of performance from him. I think with his fight IQ, with his technical skills, and with his physical attributes as well, I don't really know anybody that's going to get close to him. I think Alexander Usyk's too small for him, and I think that the AJ is just always going to come unstuck with someone that's that sharp mentally. He's a special individual. It was beautiful to watch him perform, and also to see the care that he had for his opponent when the referee was counting him out. You could clearly see that he knew that fight was over. A fantastic performance from him, and I really, really hope he doesn't retire. Even if we do get to see him fight Usyk and Joshua, I would love to watch those performances. But Ngannou's the one we want to see, right?
Yes, and I want to ask you about Ngannou in a second, but I saw an interview with Dillian White this morning. He spoke to Sky Sports, and he said, what about that shove? I mean, how is that legal? What did you make of that? Do you think that was unfair, that was illegal? Do you think that had, played a part in the knockout? Because, it did look like it was like a little bit of a shove there, right, after the uppercut.
Yeah, absolutely. There is quite a bit of pushing and shoving in boxing, and quite often you'll see Canelo do it. Yeah. He'll land a clean shot and then kind of shove people over. Golovkin does it as well. It's a part of the sport. The thing that you can't deny is when Dillian White got back to his feet, that he couldn't stand up. Right. The uppercut was the thing that did the damage. The push maybe just assisted him to the canvas a bit quicker. But it may have done him a favor, because if he'd have stayed on his feet for any longer, he may have taken 2 more punches, and then he definitely wouldn't have got back up. I don't think it changes the fight at all. I think Tyson was always going to beat Dillian White, and I think it was always going to be in that kind of fashion. Smart boxing, setting him up for that uppercut, knowing that center channel's open for him. I don't think it changes anything, but of course there's a little bit of bitterness. You walk out to a crowd of 94,000 people and you're fighting for a world title. Those things are going to stick in your mind. I think it was the right call. The referee should have stopped it.
So the hot topic on this Monday is, as you mentioned, Francis versus Tyson. Is Dan Hardy in favor of this fight happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we need to be realistic, though, about this. I think, there aren't many rule sets in which Ngannou really causes Tyson too many problems, in my opinion. I think if this is MMA, then I think we can't underestimate how good Tyson Fury is as a fighter, not as a boxer. I think, when you allow someone that's got a natural fighting instinct to use their elbows and knees, I think he's going to be just as dangerous on the inside. That uppercut on Dillian White could have quite easily been followed by an elbow. And you've seen Tyson hitting pads with Darren Till, and Darren's spoken very highly about his striking skills anyway. You speak to John Fury, his father, and that man's a street fighter through and through. Like, he's got teeth marks all up and down his forearms from where he's been using his elbows. So there's definitely a fighting skill in that family that will transfer to mixed martial arts. If this is an MMA fight, the development we saw from Ngannou in his last fight, of course, we expect him to wrestle. We expect him to take Tyson down. And then, of course, we don't know what Tyson looks like on his back. I think he's a quick learner. But then any other rule set, even if it's a hybrid, say like a shoot fighting rule set or a kickboxing or whatever, my money has to go on Tyson. You know, he's been dealing with big power punches for his whole career. And I think although Ngannou is a force of nature, so is Deontay Wilder, you know. I think the unpredictability of Ngannou's punches is the challenge for Tyson, but I think he's seen that against Deontay Wilder as well. So I think it would be a really, really tough fight for Ngannou in any rule set other than pure MMA. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tyson step into MMA.
Wow, that's a lot there. What it seems like they're talking about right now is a boxing match, but with MMA gloves. Does that change your stance on how the fight would unfold? No, I don't. I mean, of course, bigger gloves will take away a minute amount of the punching power of Ngannou, and the smaller gloves will make it easier for punches to get through guards. But it's the slickness of Tyson Fury's head movement and defense that's going to be the challenge for Ngannou. Of course, smaller gloves boxing, it means that if he does land, it's going to be far more concussive. But he still has to land against arguably, you know, well, one of the best heavyweights that's ever lived. You know, I mean, you've got to think he's got to be top 5 at this point of all time. And Ngannou's is a force, of course, but he's not a skilled fighter like Tyson is in the striking arts. You know, it doesn't mean he can't be effective, of course, but it would be incredibly challenging to connect cleanly with Tyson and really hurt him. When you say that you think that Tyson will do MMA, is that a guess or an educated guess, an informed guess?
No, I think it's an educated guess. I mean, I've spoken to him personally, and he's mentioned it to me. I interviewed him in Vegas. I actually used to train at the same place as him way back in the day. He used to hit pads while I was putting my wraps on, and then I'd get in the ring afterwards and train. Wow. So I watched him way back in the day before he was Tyson Fury, before anybody really knew who he was. And he's always been a scrapper. You know, even his pad sessions look like a fight. You know, I used to feel bad for his pad man because he used to get pushed around and leant on and beaten up, and he was always kind of jabbing him to the body and trying to tease him as well. I think he's a handful no matter what combat sport he's in, and I think he likes the idea of being able to elbow and knee people. I mean, why else would he have gone to train at Cowbon? I think he was testing himself there, and I think he found what he was looking for, and I think he would be very effective.
But before I let you go, I just want to ask, is because your mind is so good at this stuff. You saw Tommy Fury, right? You watched that fight?
Yeah.
Who wins, him or Jake Paul?
You know, it's a very, very even fight. You know, I don't think we can underestimate Jake Paul at this stage. You know, the way that he knocked out Tyron was a really nice feint to the body. You know, even to the point where people were saying that it was a fix. It absolutely wasn't. You know, He set him up perfectly. Like, Tommy's a physical specimen, but he's not the same fighter that Tyson is. You know, and that's common knowledge. You know, that's common knowledge in the Fury family. I think they recognize that Tyson was the one that was always destined to be a world champion fighter, and Tommy was always held back. Like, John Fury didn't want Tommy Fury to be a boxer. He didn't feel like he had it in him. And, you know, since he's turned pro, of course, you know, he's undefeated. But you look at the guys that he's fighting. I mean, that guy that he beat at the weekend, he was 10-1. You know, coming off his first knockout loss. Like, they engineer these guys' careers, and you know, Tommy's maybe 10 fights away still from having a really tough fight. And Jake Paul, I think, would be that first fight if they fought now. I think Jake's a big, strong individual. He's a smart dude. He's already inside Tommy's head, and the pressure on Tommy Fury to be a Fury. You know, I was recording something with John Fury ahead of the first Tyron Woodley fight with Jake Paul, and I mean, he was talking off camera like he would disown him if he lost to Jake Paul. Like, you've got to imagine the pressure that would put on Tommy Fury's shoulders. Like, there's no pressure on Jake Paul. He's living every day to the fullest, but there's an expectation on Tommy Fury, and that would work against him. I actually think Jake Paul would probably be the favorite at this point going into that fight.
I agree. And by the way, could you imagine if they do this in the UK? Because
It's been amazing.
The UK actually, they cover Jake. Like anytime I do anything, even when I put out the quote that he had on Tommy's fight, like the UK media covers him very closely. Tommy is Tommy, Fury family. That would be, I mean, like, I think because the first fight fell through between them in December and it was kind of like ho-hum, and now this performance was sort of ho-hum, an added layer to it, do it in somewhere like Manchester or at the O2 or something, what a scene it would be, right? What a scene.
It would be incredible. It would be incredible. Yeah, I mean, you saw the event on Saturday night. Like I was in London for the press conference, of course, and the whole city was taken over by it. Everybody I was walking past, are you going to the boxing? What do you think? Who's going to win?
Right.
It's a beautiful thing when London gets taken over by a boxing event. And, you know, well, the name Fury carries a lot of weight. The fact that Tyson would be there in his corner supporting, and the fact that Jake Paul brings that intensity and that you know, the bravado and the pressure, easily a marketable fight. Definitely would sell out an arena.
Wow. For you, though, July 2nd, Manchester, the return of the outlaw. Finally, after all these years, Dan Hardy is coming back against Diego Sanchez. Very recognizable name. We know him well. And the main event is Ricky Hatton against Marco Antonio Barrera. Pretty incredible stuff. Good luck to you, my friend. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it very much. Good luck in training camp. And, of course, good luck on July 2nd. Hopefully we'll talk about it before all of then. But I wish you the best, and it's great to see you back. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. It's always good talking to you, and I will speak to you again very soon.
Yes, sir. There he is. Dan Hardy joining us, returning to action. Finally, his last fight. Wow. September of 2012 was his last fight. Fought Amir Sadallah on UFC on Fuel TV, Struve versus Miocic. Could you believe that? That was UFC on Fuel TV 5 in Nottingham, England. Over in the UK, of course, Stefan Struve shocking Stipe Miocic that night. Remember that? Defeating him in the second round via TKO. Dan Hardy versus Amir Sadallah was on the main card as well, co-main event. Other names on that card, on that main card, Brad Pickett versus Yves Jabouin, Matt Wyman versus Paul Sass, John Hathaway versus John Maguire, Che Mills versus Dwayne Ludwig. Remember that crazy one with the knee injury? Bang Ludwig got hurt. Jimmy Manuwa versus Kyle Kingsbury. Kira Coruscant versus Andy Ogle. Brad Tavares versus Tom Kong Watson. Gunnar Nelson in the second fight from the bottom against DeMarcus Johnson. And Robbie Peralta against Jason Young was the curtain jerker. Pretty solid card on Fuel TV. That was the last time we saw Dan Hardy in action. Of course, he had some health issues afterwards, but he's returning on July 2nd against Diego Sanchez. Crazy time in combat sports. Everything's getting mishmashed together. It's a fun time, and you love to see the MMA guys get the paydays as well. We'll talk a lot more about this Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou fight in a second with GC NewYorkRic. Also go over the bets from this past, 2 weekends, and maybe a little look ahead as well, and talk about some news and notes that have gone down over the past 10 or so days. But first, want to tell you about our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Of course, we love our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. No music this time, Frank? We're going solo, or can I just not hear it?
Yeah, you just couldn't hear it.
Is there music right now playing?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Nice. The NBA playoffs mean next level basketball. Get in on the first round action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets instantly. You win no matter what. All DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also bet on NBA hoops with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. Plus, each day of the first round, get a risk-free bet up to $10 if your same-game parlay doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TheMMAHour. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game during the first round of the playoffs and get $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code TheMMAHour. Important. Use that because they know we sent you over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Let's check in with the boys here. By the way, speaking of the NBA playoffs, I was wondering, I mean, it's a great transition. I was wondering about that. Didn't your teams play each other?
No, Did they?
Okay.
I don't think so.
Wow, that's a nice shirt you got there, Rick.
Both Hawks fans.
It's not my favorite color, I'll admit.
Wow, look at this. This is
listen,
some kind of scene.
When my friend brings me something gratis, to wear, I'll take it. Thank you, GC.
Man, I wish we can pan down on that camera just a smidge. That is a Hawk shirt that you are wearing. GC.
I know he won't show it.
Yeah.
Nice to get him out of the black for once.
Yeah, no, it is a good
Not
look.
my favorite. Not my favorite.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, we see it right there. And GC, for those listening, wearing the old school Dikembe Mutombo
Exactly.
jersey.
Spot on.
I didn't know there was a bet.
I guess it was made the day of. I feel like the people kind of forced it.
Okay. Was it made on Twitter? Like, where was this made?
Nah, it
was private?
Yeah, we text a little bit. Me and
Okay.
GC,
All right.
We're buds.
So this was the bet. Cavs lose in the play-in game. You wear the T-shirt. What would have happened if the Cavs won?
Vice versa.
He's wearing the Cavs swag.
Do you even have a Cavs jersey? I feel like you're just like such a fake fan. That
There's
you don't even
there's a certain limit to how much fake fan stuff I'm going to take from you.
No, I just want to know.
Toronto Raptors.
What's Mr. Toronto Raptors?
Sorry.
What?
Do you have a team?
Yeah.
Which team?
The New York Knicks.
Oh,
always
you
and
seem
forever.
to be gloating about
What?
some Raptors things that are going on.
I'm not
I just want to
gloating.
check in.
By the way,
I just want to make sure that you're still a Knicks fan.
This is the crazy thing.
Now that Scotty Barnes.
Okay, so am I a Celtics fan because I say Jason Tatum's a top 5 player? No, I'm a basketball fan. I'm allowed to have takes on the sport of basketball.
Yeah, you seem to be celebrating for the Raptors a little more than
What's
just.
there to celebrate? They're down 3-1. They're about to lose.
I would
probably
ask
tonight.
you the same thing.
There's
What's
nothing
there
to celebrate.
Let's
But-
just say when Kawhi was there, you were a little more
Yeah, I was
excited.
No, I
you were
was
a little more
Listen,
excited.
My team didn't make it to the playoffs. They sucked.
Okay,
and the country of Canada has one basketball team.
I'm just setting
and I was pretty
I'm just
damn
setting the
excited
level, the
that
expectations
the Canadian
of
basketball
the fake,
team
the
won a
fake fan
championship.
stuff that I'll take up to here.
I just wanted to know. By the way, don't get so defensive. I just wanted to know if you owned the jersey. That was it.
I own a jersey. It would have been a beautiful
Sean Kemp, circa 97.
Signed Sean Kemp. No, he wasn't there in 97.
No, it was later.
98, 99, 2000 era. We were just talking about this. The jerseys from the 90s that I kind of thought were putrid back then, like are actually like really
the blue.
good.
Yeah,
they're so
great.
they're
Black
so
and
sick
blue.
now. Like even this Hawks one, like back then I was like, eh.
Now it's awesome.
Now it's pretty sick because all of them suck. But yeah, you know what? Don't come at me with your bottom basement Knicks team. You make the playoffs one time in the last 30 years, and you act like
both teams
SHIT.
Both teams didn't make the playoffs this year. After all the hoopla, you guys didn't even qualify. We ended up in the same spot.
Yeah, you know
all
what?
That.
My team got injured and everybody fell off. Your team was healthy all year and just in the tank.
Well, he's a Hawks fan now. He's not a Cavs fan
Yeah, and you know what? Look,
Hawks are
we're
alive
repping
and
the
well,
Hawks
baby.
now. We're repping the Hawks now.
No, it's good. I mean, Mobley got the Rookie of the Year. It all worked out.
Again, so you seem to be gloating about this. You seem to be celebrating this. He got hurt. Let's call this. You know what? We'll start it here. This is not an NBA show, but we'll start it here.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley will have the best career out of those three.
Ooh.
First of all, Scotty Barnes isn't even better than Cade Cunningham, who's the number 2 guy.
Crazy take.
No, it's not. I mean, there's a lot of people who would argue Cade's actually number 1. I would push back against that. Obviously, all team defense. Evan Mobley, impact player for a near playoff team. Sad tier. Is going to be the best. Is going to have the best career out of all three, no doubt in my mind. Already an impact player. Cade Cunningham,
a lot of takes.
looking like a pretty decent offensive.
A lot of crazy takes.
Offensive initiator. Scotty, number 3. Now and I don't even think that's like
only
that hot a take
of the 3. Only team still in it.
Yeah, the Raptors are good and didn't get hurt at the end of the year like the Cavs did.
Well,
now look at Scotty's out. The Raptors don't look so hot, right? That's what happens.
We should put a pin on the NBA talk. Honestly, I'm not even being an a-hole right now because I wish I could fly to Arizona and hug our friend Shaheen. I can't even imagine what he's going through with his team now tied with the Pelicans 2-2 after the season.
Jesus Christ! You just
the
teams
I'm
get injured and you just
I'm being honest.
Faces.
I'm actually being honest. I don't want him to think about the
for
NBA
him,
right
you're
now.
sympathetic, but when my team gets injured, it's like, you guys,
because there was a lot of bluster. There was a lot of puffing
Let's just
of the
say
chest.
if you hadn't dropped that PF Chang's reference, I'd be very mad at you right now.
That was fantastic.
What about that?
That's quite good.
My only regret about the PF Chang reference is that I think he thought I was making fun of him.
He can't tell. He doesn't know if you're going at him. But
was the Ricky Bobby reference like a comeback to that?
No, I don't think so.
Or was that
I
like
think
about
no. I
wraps?
think
I think he was just trying to hit me back with another insider thing. Which, by the way, I've never even seen that movie.
Oh
I'm shocked.
my God!
I'm shocked that you haven't seen a movie.
Not shocked you haven't seen it. Fantastic. If you love Billy Madison as much as you say you love,
I love Billy.
I mean, Talladega Nights is up the same alley.
I might have
Sean
seen like
in the Slack saying,
oh, no.
I'm a wreck.
I know. I can't. Actually, I went and looked at his Twitter this morning. I was like, is he saying anything?
After being up to last
we
year
should
as
also
well.
we should also give a shout out to Jose Young's also an Arizona resident who's rooting for the Suns now, but also the
Arizona.
Celtics,
But he's
so
not born and bred.
Yeah, he's a Celtics fan, but you know. Look.
Okay, so what is the shout out?
Oh wait a minute. This
By the
is
way,
coming.
wait a second.
Toronto,
He's not even a
Toronto,
Suns
New
fan.
York thing.
He
is a Suns fan.
Oh, I thought you said he's a Celtics
like you.
fan.
He's a Celtics fan who's also
By the
rooting
way,
for another team.
Celtics are going to make it to the finals. I'd be thrilled if I were him.
Nah, Giannis is starting.
Brooklyn's too
Brooklyn,
tough.
yeah,
Coming back from 3-0.
Get out of here.
Never sleep on Brooklyn.
All right,
baby.
enough NBA.
Okay. This is a lot.
Mobley.
Sean wrote me something. Let's see.
Mobley.
I'm a wreck in all caps. Oh God, I feel so bad. I'm being honest right now. I actually.
He gets the sympathy.
It's very rare that I root for a 1 seed, but in this case, I am rooting for them. My teams are never the 1 seed. All right, guys. Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. We've been talking about it.
Yep.
NewYorkRic, you want to go first? Your thoughts?
The fight to make. Tyson Fury could fight Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury could fight Usyk. They would be kind of academic at this point, in my opinion, just based on like his skills, where he's at. Certainly, I think the Joshua fight is a huge fight. Do not get me wrong, even though he has not looked up to the task.
Joshua coming off a loss, by the way. He hasn't
performed to the level that was needed for that super fight to happen between him and Tyson Fury. But with a win, I think he gets back in that territory, and that fight would be huge, no doubt, for boxing. And if you put that in the UK, I think that crushes anything that they did with Dillian White, obviously. I think Joshua just has so much more of a fan base there. But Dillian has a really strong fan base as well. But in terms of general interest, in terms of building anticipation, in terms of getting the eyes of the world beyond the boxing audience on it, there's no doubt that Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou is the fight to make. And I think it's the fight to make for both guys. I think there's no coincidence that Tyson Fury seems to want this fight as much as Francis Ngannou does. And I think that's the most interesting part of this, is that Tyson Fury wants it, because typically, as you said to who was it, to either Francis or
I think
somebody,
it was to Francis, yeah,
that Tyson buying into it, and Canelo not necessarily buying into the Kamaru fight is the key. The boxer is kind of the one in control of this usually, and in this case, Tyson buying in as much as Francis is what makes this so interesting.
Usually, it's the MMA guy tugging at the coattails of the boxing guy. Usman. Canelo is one of many examples of this, but
even to an extent, Conor Mayweather. Like, Conor was the one kind of drumming that up first. He was trying to get the attention, and ultimately did get Mayweather's attention, but he was putting it out there. He was pushing it forward. This seems to be two guys meeting in the middle on it, which is not what we've seen in the past.
GC, I saw you were watching on Saturday. To me, the part was like Tyson's doing the post-fight, and all of a sudden, he's calling over Francis. It was surreal stuff.
I didn't know that Francis was there. Like, I looked later at his Instagram or his Twitter, and he posted.
You didn't see my tweet? I tweeted
picture.
that he was there.
Yeah, I did not realize that.
Here
he
I
was
am.
there.
I'm calling you like the social media
I know, you
star.
gave me all this love. I guess I didn't see it. I missed over it. So I didn't know he was there. So when he pulled up, like when he pulled Francis aside, I was like mind blown, like jaw on the floor. I was like going crazy.
Okay, it's actually better that you didn't see the tweet then.
Yes,
it was like a legit surprise.
It was amazing. Like it was amazing. Everyone who I was watching with, I was going so crazy, and everyone was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I was like, "That's Francis Ngannou right there." I mean, you asked if it's the fight to make. Like, if Tyson Fury is going to fight, I'm going to watch it no matter what. Like, he is just the epitome of entertainment. And whether it's the fight to make or not, I think it's the fight that's going to be made.
You think it happens?
I just don't see Tyson Fury doing any fight but that fight. He's bringing Francis Ngannou in, like he's doing it. Whether Ngannou can get the contract, negotiations worked out to be able to get the fight, I think Tyson Fury, the only way he's fighting again, his next fight will be against Francis Ngannou.
Are you guys surprised that Ngannou is saying like he wants to do the deal with the UFC and then do this fight? Because there could be a world where he does the deal with Tyson, cuts them out, and hopes that he wins, and now his stock is even higher, and then does the deal with the UFC.
Yeah.
I know it's a risk, but...
No, I'm not surprised, because I think he's coming to the realization, and I think this was one of the realities and one of the reasons people have thought he'd return to the UFC is he fights Tyson Fury, and then what? And he said, what's next after that? He intends to be an MMA fighter. What's after that? The biggest fights for Francis Ngannou outside of Tyson Fury. I want to stop here for a second. I am assuming Francis Ngannou is going to lose this fight to Tyson Fury. That is an assumption that I'm operating under. I don't think there's any rule set that's not an MMA fight where Francis Ngannou beats Tyson Fury. So let me just put that out before I continue what I'm about to say. So if that is true, if Francis Ngannou doesn't beat Tyson Fury, it's then what? That doesn't line him up for fights against Joshua and the other boxers at the top tier of that sport. So the biggest fights for him are going to be in MMA moving forward after that. It would make sense for Francis Ngannou as a businessman to line up a Tyson Fury fight, get the UFC's promotion behind it, the way Conor McGregor did as well, and then walk back into super fights, because I'm assuming he's going to lose. Again, I'm putting that out there. Walk back into fights with John Jones, Stipe Miocic, whoever else at the top of the UFC's heavyweight division. So it makes sense. Now, do I think that the UFC is going to potentially get on board with that? I could see it. But what I don't think will happen is Francis Ngannou does that fight, and UFC gets on board with it, and then the next fight that the next contract that he has with the UFC is materially different than he had before. It will be a similar contract. I can't see what exceptions they would allow Francis Ngannou to have, and this seemed to be the crux of the issue when Francis Ngannou was first talking about it. I need a different contract. It can't just be I get to fight Tyson Fury and then I'm back on the same UFC contract. That at least for me, that didn't seem to be what he was fighting for and what the argument seemed to be. So if that's the case, I don't know how well those two things are going to gel. Does the UFC offer him a different structure, a different type of contract? I don't think so. I don't see how.
He's got to get a pay raise.
Got to get a pay raise, but remember, he said this on this show. It's not about the money. It's about the freedom. It's about what I've fought for. Is he going to fight? UFC could get on board with a Tyson Fury fight, as they did with Mayweather and McGregor. But then when you come back, you're just signing the same UFC deal that you signed before, except for more money. That seems to be against what Francis Ngannou had been saying previously. So I'm not sure how well those two things gel. If he says, hey, I'll fight Tyson Fury for you guys. You're involved in the promotion. Hey, I'll come back and sign same type of deal, same structure of deal, but for more money, I think UFC would sign it tomorrow. I think they take that in a heartbeat. But that didn't seem to be what Francis was fighting for. If that has changed, I could see it being sewn up real quick as soon as he's healthy.
And for those who are saying the UFC wouldn't do a deal with Top Rank per se, Tyson's deal's up with Top Rank. Now, he's still with Frank Warren of Queensberry, and they have a relationship with ESPN, but you don't necessarily need Bob Arum and Top Rank to make this fight happen. Now, I know that Bob Arum is talking about how it's easy to make and all this stuff, but I really think that this is a relatively easy fight to make, especially because you have Tyson saying, like, here, let's do this together. Tyson's probably going to do a WWE thing in the fall. They're going to Cardiff. They're going to try to sell 90,000 seats to that one. And then beginning of the year, end of this year, probably beginning of the year, he does this. And then, oh, by the way, then he could do Usyk versus Joshua. It's not like that fight is booked. It's not like booking Ngannou versus Tyson takes away from Tyson versus Usyk or Tyson versus Joshua, whoever wins that fight, whenever they do fight. It ain't happening anytime soon. Let me tell you that. So, like, what's the problem? Why can't we have both? That's the part I don't understand. I love Artem. Artem Lobov was like kind of telling me, oh, you know, the sport, you need the best to fight the best. I was like, Artem, come on, man. Like, this is a little rich coming from, I love Artem. He's the GOAT. But I mean, come on. Why was it okay for Conor to do it 5 years ago and it's not okay for Francis to go after this? And by the way, like, there's a legit storyline here. It's not just Francis saying like, hey, I'd like to, it's champion versus champion. It's baddest man versus baddest man. I'm actually kind of blown away by anyone who doesn't want to see this fight. And if you tell me that you don't want to see this fight because you think it's going to be a cakewalk, all right, fine. But, like, let the guy eat, for God's sakes. Let the guy have his moment. He earned it.
That's fair, right? That it won't be a competitive fight. I think that's I mean, I'm not in that camp. I want to see that fight. No doubt in my mind, I want to see that fight. Again, because I don't think Joshua or Usyk are interesting challenges for Tyson Fury, just straight up. Like, I think they're the best. I think the heavyweight crop is pretty solid right now. I don't think they're interesting challenges for Tyson Fury. I think he's too big for Usyk, and I think he's too skilled, and Joshua's too much of a liability defensively to mess with Tyson Fury. Francis Ngannou isn't going to beat him either, but if we're looking at three guys that aren't going to beat him, give me the one that's going to be the most interesting build. I think those two would be hilarious. I mean, you know, I don't want to go into the X-rated stuff that Tyson Fury was talking about in the ring. But those two would be fun together. We're not going to talk about
what
it. I just said.
How big is your Corey? He said, I never even heard of it.
We're not going to talk about it.
But what does that even mean?
As I said, moving on. Those two could play well off each other. It would be super interesting. But having said all that, me being in that camp, I think it won't be a competitive fight is a valid reason to not be interested in it. Now, there's a lot of people who would be, so don't poo-poo their, on their fun. Don't spoil their party. But I think that's a legit reason to not want to watch something. Is like, I don't think this is a good fight.
But to say that there's no reason for it to what are the odds? I saw someone had posted the odds. They're pretty.
Yeah, Tyson Fury like minus 1,500.
Yeah. Minus 50. And what is
Francis,
what is
plus
Francis?
750.
Yeah, like plus 750.
You think he gets bigger or closer, GC? Closer to it if it happens?
I don't know. I mean, how do you even bet Tyson Fury at that price? Like, it's just so huge.
Right.
Like, you'd have to parlay him up or like whatever,
I would take
rules
Tyson
they decide
Fury
on.
You would take Tyson Fury?
I would take Tyson Fury to the bank at minus 1,500. He should be minus 15,000.
Wow.
I mean, if it's strictly boxing, then yeah, he's going to win.
I mean, this is
Boxing
the
with
Mayweather-McGregor all over again. I'd take Floyd at minus 100,000. Well, I don't think there's a number I wouldn't take Floyd.
But I think the one thing that makes this a touch more interesting than the Mayweather-McGregor is that Francis Ngannou does have the knockout power. He has that potential to land one punch, whereas McGregor has power, but not as much as Ngannou. So, like, crazy things happened.
Fury's been dropped by Wilder
a few times.
Yeah,
a few
Come
times.
on, guys.
Come on.
Wilder is also
dropped by
6'8"
the
and even
hardest hitting combat sports fighter.
Wait a
of all
second.
time.
Francis, I heard his punches are like the equivalent of four to score. Yeah.
Look, I'm not about to tell you that Francis Ngannou doesn't hit hard.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder has the touch of death. Nobody has hit harder than that guy ever.
It honestly doesn't come down to power in this fight. It comes down to speed. It comes down to things that Andreas was talking about, the head movement and all that. To me, it's Tyson's punching speed more so than his punching power versus Francis' punching speed or maybe lack thereof. That's the real difference here. Like, you saw that uppercut. That thing, like, you had to slow it down just to watch it.
It was a fantastic punch. The thing about Tyson Fury that makes him a terrible matchup for nearly every fighter on the planet, at heavyweight, he's able to get much bigger and have a huge size advantage over guys like Usyk who are coming up and not as big heavyweights. So he doesn't need to be super technical. He can just lean on him and take him out because he's so big and so powerful. And then against guys who are, Joshua, who are more of technicians but also have power, or even Dillian White, for example, he's a better boxer. He's just a better boxer than those guys. So technically, he's better than the technicians. And in terms of power, he can crush the small guys. He's a very, very difficult fighter to figure out and have the tools to fight against. There's not many guys in history that have the resume or the skills that Tyson Fury has had. Like, it's time to start talking about Tyson Fury as Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, best of all time, if he's not already there. And yeah, it's tough. You can't find a guy. So if we're saying you can't find a guy who's really going to be a good matchup for Tyson Fury, I'm okay with Francis Ngannou being the one to get in there. I'm perfectly fine with that. I would love to see it. I would love to see it because I don't think there's a boxer alive that's really a match for him either. So why not?
I'm actually really happy to hear you say this because I feel like you were going to take the other. I mean, I've been looking for the Chris Rock, Will Smith interview.
It will now. I mean, Will
has
and
it been a
Jada seem
week?
to be Will and Jada seem to be.
Has it been a week?
You're so.
What's the date now?
You're so tied to the. Has it been a week?
We got to guarantee. I went back and I said, "You guarantee it," and you said yes.
Believe me, that take will age well. Believe me. They will be doing something.
Yes, I think we all agree that their grievances will be put aside. But you said a week, so we're going to continue to harp on that. It's been a month at this point.
You're locked in on it.
I mean, you said it. We went back to it. We asked for the guarantee.
If I held you guys as accountable for the nonsense you talk you guys hold me,
it's all on tape. Dude.
Believe
Bring
me.
it all back
Listen. I could come on here and give these like boring, generic takes if you want. If you just want more of the boring stuff, believe me, I got it. Listen. I'll bring it out.
By the way, you guys know who Kyle Brandt is?
Yeah,
yeah,
super producer.
No, is he a super producer? What does that mean?
Yeah, or didn't he used to produce? Now he's talent for
NFL
Network.
Right?
Yeah. This is example number one, Exhibit A, as to why I shouldn't check Twitter in the middle of the show. He just announced that he's announcing the Bills draft pick this weekend.
Shut up. Second round?
89. So I guess that's third.
Oh, so you still would have been ahead of him.
I know.
Any
but it's
regrets
like-
come in.
Are they
Any
doing
This
it
regrets-
guy's like a
every single
fake.
pick?
He's like a fake Bills fan. He does it to like curry favor
This
with
is
them.
what
He's
you
not even.
set your- you
He's a
set
Bears
yourself up
guy.
for this. You set
And
yourself
someone-
up for this.
Israel just wrote me. This could have been you. Yeah, it could have been me.
It could have been you.
You're a
Actually, you could have done
You're a
57.
loser. I can't believe you didn't do it. You're a loser.
Do we know who's doing 57 yet? Is
Well, it was
just
going to
gonna
be
are they
Stevie
doing-
Johnson.
Are they doing one for every single?
I don't know.
I
Maybe
think
maybe
this
he
is probably
couldn't do
the one.
No, maybe
Yeah.
he couldn't do day 2, and now he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's probably what happened. This would have been the one.
I got asked first, just for the record. I want everyone to know
doesn't
I got
matter.
asked
No
first.
one's
Yeah,
gonna
when
remember.
when your
No one's
kids
gonna
look back
remember.
on it and it's on television, they're going to be like, "Oh, look at Kyle, Bills
Guess
fan."
what? Guess what? Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano fight week. I needed to be here. All right, this is historic stuff. Actually, GC just gave me some breaking news at the beginning of the show. Frank, can we get some breaking news? What did you say?
Katie Taylor's the underdog.
Katie Taylor's the underdog.
Katie Taylor's the underdog.
How
Are we
did this
getting? Are we getting this right now with the breaking news that this is the Helwani dog of the week?
Well, I was thinking about that. Here's the problem.
Can't make
Because
a pick.
people-
You can't
No,
make a pick.
I can make a pick.
People crave
Whoa,
the,
really?
the Helwani dog of the week.
Tell how many weeks in a row have I gone the dog of the week?
It's
No,
not
no.
weeks, picks though. 5
Picks,
straight.
right.
1 week
That's
you
not
went
what I'm
to.
talking about. I'm talking about you were involved in the fight. You were involved in.
I'm sitting down with them.
Yes.
Can I make a pick before I sit down with them? I don't think that's right.
Yeah. So that's what I meant by you.
I can make a pick by
Well,
Friday
you
once my
think it's
duties are done.
Blasphemy that Amanda Serrano's the favorite. So I think it's clear.
Listen, just do
Where
like
you're
the
leaning.
Woj.
I am-
Just do like the Woj.
What is the
like,
Woj?
Just use like words that are like
Yeah.
targeting this and that. So you just say like, there's a strong.
Listen, anyone who watches this show, I think knows where I'm. But like, I'm actually surprised. Are we
Plus 110 on DraftKings.
I'm not
right now.
surprised. And
plus
it's
110?
close.
And what is Amanda?
Minus 135.
Wow, and you're going with Amanda.
Yep. I've already placed the bet.
I'm Taylor.
Frank is going with Amanda.
I already
Yes.
placed the bet.
Yep.
Is it true that you've opened up a DraftKings account because you are so confident, Frank, in this pick?
Yeah, it's just easy money.
Wow.
It's also breaking news.
Frank. Like,
I'm on Taylor. So you can just use me as a proxy. You can use me as a vessel for the
wow.
delivery of this. I think
I love
Taylor.
this. Control room divided.
The
Taylor gets it
disrespect
done.
for the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in women's boxing. Historic stuff, guys. You know what I was thinking? I was actually comparing this when I saw Liz Carmouche win the belt,
Yeah.
controversial or not. Could get into that among the many things that happened in the last 10 days. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Rousey Carmouche, what we're seeing here. Obviously, this
Sure.
isn't the first, but there's history involved and all this stuff. What makes it even more unique is that it is so incredibly rare in MMA and in boxing that #1 fights #2. I know some people say she's #3. Even 1 versus 3 is incredibly rare. Like in MMA, I can only think of one time that it's happened in the last decade, and that's when John Jones fought DC. 1 versus 2,
really?
pound for pound. Give me another time where it was
pound
one
for pound.
Yeah. 1 versus 2, pound for pound.
Wow.
That's what makes this so incredibly rare. Like I was reading an article, according to ESPN Sports Stats and Info Group, whatever it is, or what was it? Stats and Info, right?
Stats and Info.
The last time in boxing that #1 fought #2 pound for pound was when Manny Pacquiao fought, I think it was Juan Manuel Marquez
Yeah.
in 2008.
Yeah.
But the thing with that was Floyd had just retired. He was #1. So it was almost like by default.
Yeah, I mean,
This
that
is-
still matters because to your point, that would have been 2, 3, whatever that would have
Yeah,
been.
but this
would
is
have
incredibly rare stuff.
For
like
sure.
not only is it first main event involving females at
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, and that's a big deal. Not only is it Katie fighting in New York, Amanda fighting, getting her first 7-figure payday, Jake Paul, Eddie Hearn, all that stuff. It's like legit uncommon territory for the sport of boxing and MMA, like combat sports. That #1 is
Yeah.
fighting #2.
Yeah, like
Now, I don't.
the best you could set up in the UFC right now, pound for pound, would be 2 versus 6, Volk versus Holloway.
Wow, and Holloway
Oh,
is
what
not like.
about- where's Oliveira?
Oliveira's 5.
Yeah, so you could do Volk and Oliveira.
I guess
And
if
if
I guess if
Oliveira-
Volk jumped up, then
If
yeah.
Oliveira wins against Gaethje, conceivably he might move up that too. So yeah,
Sure,
Volk,
all right, yeah.
Volk versus
if Volk moves
Oliveira.
up, then yeah, that's the better one you could do.
Yeah, but that still
Again,
wouldn't be
though,
1
Yeah,
versus
it's
2
still 2 versus 5. Yeah, 2 versus 5.
or 1. I mean,
It clearly feels special. I'll say obviously the talent pools are lesser on the women's boxing side, right? Like it's more shallow. There's less contenders for them to kind of churn through. So like if you're Canelo, other guys, like yeah, you move up, but you've also got a bunch of fights in your division to establish yourself. There's just less contenders in the women's ranks. But yeah, this is a very rare fight. This is a historic fight for
I'm
sure.
legit pumped.
It's
No,
great.
I'm hyped. That video that you posted this morning,
That was good,
got me
right?
hyped.
I
Got
mean,
me
even
hyped.
if like, I think this kind of gets lost, especially modern, and I've fallen victim to this a lot of times as well. Like, who cares about the rankings? Like, who cares? This is a great fight. Like, this is an awesome freaking fight. I don't care if they were 15 and 30. Like, this fight is awesome. And because they're so good, that's what makes it awesome. And we don't get fights like this. I'm excited about this.
Also,
in boxing or MMA, this is awesome.
Also found out today, shout out to Dan Canopio who reported first. So there's Chito Vera versus Rob Font on Saturday, which is a great fight, an important fight, getting overshadowed. Once again, proving, by the way, and we saw some of this weekend, 135. I said this back in December. 135 in the combat sports world is the best weight right now. The UFC's 135-pound division is on fire. This is a fight at 135. Jan, Sterling, all that stuff that just happened. Aldo, Dillashaw. Bellator's 135 is tremendous. Stotts winning the interim belt. Pettis doing his thing. Patchy Mix beating Kyoji Horiguchi. What about Mr. Sabatello with the promo of all promos? Please remind me of that promo on Friday. He was freaking amazing. He goes, I'm going to win this. That guy sucks, and I'm great. I don't know. I don't remember what he said, but it was freaking amazing what he
I
said.
think he dropped like 6 F-bombs during it, too. I think they were counting them.
If they could do Sabatello versus Stotts at some point, tremendous stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have in men's boxing, Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez fighting, but you also have Katie and Amanda. So basically, 7 to 10 is the main card for ESPN. 10:15 is the ring walk for Taylor Serrano. Main card for Stevenson starts at 10. None of this is going to coincide. What a night on Saturday.
Awesome night. And you know what? I maybe spoke too soon. Valdez and Stevenson is a fight just like that. Like that is a top of the tier pound for pound.
It's a great time.
Fight. That is a sick fight. Stevenson and Valdez.
Okay, let's recap some of your bets. You've had a lot of action. I mean, you already broke the biggest thing. The 5 underdog picks in a row, Hawani lock.
Yeah, that's you, man. I mean, you got the people hungry for an underdog.
I took the weekend off. I was a little bit,
understandably
off the
so.
grid.
I mean, I think people got to understand it's not necessarily. I know it's the underdog of the week, but it's not necessarily a weekly thing.
Yeah, you can't just.
It's if you like the dog, you take it. But man, I get a lot of messages asking for him. So,
by the way, I think I just found my dog of the week.
Katie Taylor. Yeah.
No. Marlon Vera
Katie
plus
Taylor.
120. I mean, come on.
I mean, that number's dropping fast too.
All right. Well, we'll get to that. Anyhow, how are we looking?
Yeah, let's do it. A lot of picks. We're not going to waste too much time on these. Let's go with the recap of the first week here. Week number 1. This was UFC Vegas 51. You know, it's hard to even remember who fought. It was the Bilal card. It was that long ago.
Yes.
277. Obviously, AJ McKee. Who else fought? We had a boxing match. Errol Spence. All that. Either way, we lose 1.82 units there. I'm not even going to go through everything for the sake of time here. We do that. PFL week 1. That happened.
Yes.
We go 3-1. Haush Manfio.
That's
the
your
underdog
guy.
king. I mean, my guy. We shouted him out on the show. PFL, went and ran
I love
with
the
it.
clip.
I mean, 5 straight fights now. He's cashed as an underdog. It's unbelievable stuff. I'll admit he was probably getting beat up until that point, but that knockout was huge. So we got that. Lose the parlay, unfortunately. Finish up 0.14 there. Bounce back, though. A nice little weekend here. Bellator 278, 279, UFC Vegas 52, Tyson Fury, all that mixed together. 6-2 on singles. Unfortunately, lose some on the parlays. Finish up 1.84 to give us the grand total for spring break, the MMA Hour spring break. 11-6 on singles.
Yeah.
Misplayed some of these, the heavier ones. I went too heavy on like the heavy favorites, so we end up losing 0.21. Up just barely on the parlays. Basically broke even. Finish up 0.16, 16.95 on 2022 now, 28.81. So we bet, 17 plus 12, 29 bets, and we basically broke even.
Wow, after all that. 29 bets.
A lot of sweating, a lot of nervousness. But yeah. I mean, there was a lot of events, man. 3 Bellator cards, 2 UFC, 2 boxing. There was a lot going on. But on top of all of this,
yes,
my crowning achievement from everything, I'm now
a
blue belt on Verdict.
Wow.
I have it right here.
Wait, they actually sent you one?
I mean, look at this. No, I got it myself. I'm gonna wash it out. The blue belt on Verdict. We're going to go ahead and wrap this around here.
How do you get that?
I mean, we're just moving our way up. I mean, when you're a blue belt, people know.
Yeah.
You get a blue belt.
All right, here it is.
You know, it's not your black one up there, but we'll put it around the waist. We'll just
put it around, yeah.
Right
that's
here,
right.
So.
Yep. Just like Khamzat.
Just like Khamzat, baby. Purple up next, then we'll really be like Khamzat. There we go. Verdict. Shout out to Verdict.
But what do you have to do to get that?
Be an expert picker, man.
Oh,
we're moving on up.
Okay,
we're picking fights. We're scoring fights. Yeah, they made this great.
Look at you.
Yeah, I mean,
congratulations, Mazel tov.
Yeah, we'll hang it up. Yeah, Mazel tov. Everything we'll hang it up right there, and it'll be our motivation to get the purple belt and just keep picking these fights. You know.
I love it.
So yeah, shout out to Verdict.
Well done. Who knew that we were going to get a belt ceremony here on the program? Usually, you got to whip the guy.
A lot of people know.
Right.
I tweeted about it.
Well, I didn't know
Verdict tweeted about it.
I didn't know we were going to get the ceremony. That's all.
I mean, look at this picture Verdict made for us here. I mean,
that was great.
This was an artist's rendition here. If we can get it up on the screen, there it is. Shout out to Verdict.
Any DraftKings?
Let's start with the big hitter because we had some crazy stuff this weekend. The big hitter of the week. He actually made it into the Hall of Fame. Shea, at Shea Handicapping. You want to talk about ridiculous here. 3 bets on Mike Jackson, and then he also parlayed Mike Jackson with Cyborg, which is the most ridiculous thing ever, a plus 700 and a minus 1,000.
What?
And this dude put crazy money on it. One bet, $15,000 to win 120 to return 120,000. Another one, 18,500 to return 246,000. Another one, 22,000 to return 176,000. And then the parlay, 15,000 to win 132,000. In total, because of Mike Jackson, he profits $604,166.
Can we talk about this Mike Jackson thing for a second?
Can we talk about this?
I mean,
and this guy winning $604,000 off of that.
Golly, God bless you. That was one of the weirdest things, especially coupled with the fact that it happened right after the Tyson Fury fight. So you go from 94,000, that whole scene, Francis and the Ray, and it's like, let's go over to the Apex now, where Dean Barry is fighting Mike Jackson. Wow, Mike Jackson. I can't believe Mike Jackson is still in the UFC. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I honestly feel like he doesn't believe that he's still in the UFC. Mike Jackson was brought in as the opponent.
Who was his last fight? CM Punk?
Yes.
Years ago, 4 years ago?
2018. Mike Jackson was brought in as the opponent for Mickey Gall in this tournament to see who would fight CM Punk. He loses. Gall gets Punk like 2 years later by the time the fight happens. And all of a sudden, he's still in the UFC. And then 2 years after that, Punk gets one more fight in the UFC in Chicago against Mike Jackson. Jackson wins that fight. Dana White goes to the press conference after. This is 2018 now, almost 4 years ago. Dana goes to the press conference like, that guy's an idiot. That was one of the worst fights. Craps all over him. Then, like 3 years later, we find out that he tested positive for marijuana and it gets overturned. And somehow he's still in the UFC. And I get the feeling like no one really likes him. Like, were you watching that fight?
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
Felder clearly doesn't like him. He was like borderline.
Well, DC also. DC is like, there is no way, there is absolutely no way that they will make this a win for Mike Jackson. And then they're like, a win for Mike Jackson.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, that was the right call because we saw a couple of those, you know, questionable no contest. I mean, this whole game of deciding, is it intentional, not intentional? No, you throw a strike, it's intentional. I'm sorry. You threw the damn thing, all right? You threw it with a purpose. It's a DQ. So good on them for actually getting that right. But the fact that Mike Jackson is now on a winning streak in the UFC and they can't get rid of him because he has 2 fights left, they can't cut him off a win. They can't get rid of this guy. It's one of the funniest stories that I've ever seen. And he makes everyone uncomfortable. Like, I feel like they don't want him at the press conference. They don't want him talking. Everyone wants him gone, and they can't get rid of him. He has outlasted CM Punk. He's on a bigger winning streak than Mickey Gall, who's coming off a knockout loss. It's one of the most, it's like the improbable stories in the history of the UFC that this guy, and you know what the fight is I want to see next? Mike Jackson versus Casey Leydon. I feel like that's a legit fight.
I was about to say, the fact that you are matchmaking for Mike Jackson right now and you're actually excited about it. Yes, let's set that up. Casey Leydon versus Mike Jackson. So
I think Casey wins 30-27.
Yes, 30-25.
30-25.
I mean, the groundwork will just be too much. That would be incredible. Yes. I mean, also just like how vocal Mike Jackson was, like during, like when he was grounded, like.
Oh, it was great. He's like, talking to him.
He's just like,
and then the ref goes over to him and he's like, I think it was Chris Tognoni. He's like, I just want to let you know I gave him a strong warning. The guy's on the ground. his freaking, family jewels are throbbing. He's like, okay, thanks for the strong warning there, ref. Really appreciate it. He's talking. Felder saying if he's talking, he can fight.
Right.
And then Barry said he faked it, and then he deleted his Twitter last night.
Dean Barry deleted his Twitter.
Yes, because of the back and forth. They have a whole back and forth, and then he deleted his Twitter. Bad scene for Dean Barry.
Yeah, I saw the video of him being like, oh, man, he opened his eye right afterward, yada, yada, all that. I mean, there's no, who do you think they can actually give Mike Jackson?
I kind of feel like you run it back.
I think that's the best move. I think
there's an actual, Barry's a good striker.
Right, he was getting,
yes,
he was getting beat, handily. That's what I love. Everyone hitting me up with these tickets. They're like, I knew that was an easy winner. I'm just like,
no, you didn't know nothing. What was he, like a plus 1,500 or something crazy?
Nah, plus 700. That's
700.
That's what this guy took him at that profited so much. I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, it's hilarious. And the fact that this guy won over $500,000 off of that, I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So shout out to Shea. Shea Handicapping now finds himself in the Big Hitters Hall of Fame.
God bless.
A couple more ridiculous ones here. The honorable mentions. Let's throw them up here and run through them really quick. I mean, these are crazy. Andrew Moog gets Tyson Fury to win in round 6 plus 1,100. Threw $100 on that. He must have been going crazy as time was expiring there. Jessica Napick. There would be exactly 4 submissions on the main card of this UFC fight night.
How did they get this?
At plus 8,000, $5 to win 400. No, you say, how do they get this? Timothy Troiano took Claudio Poyes by knee bar. Exactly by knee bar.
What?
At plus 5,000.
Come on.
I have the winning thing wrong down there. I forgot to update it, but yes, threw $10 on that. Plus 5,000.
Next, you're going to say someone picked Jessica Andrade via standing arm triangle.
I did not know. I wish. I did not know that you could take exact submission types. But yeah, Timothy Troiano plus 5,000, 10 to win 510.
That is
to return
crazy.
I mean, absolutely.
That was a sick knee bar. Good for him.
Oh my God, sick. That transition, how fast he did it. Yeah. So, I mean, this has got to be the most wild big hitter segment we'd have. Maybe not the biggest, but exactly 4 submissions. The Poyes by knee bar. I mean, it's just crazy. So shout out to everyone there. And then let's get into some DraftKings action here. Ozzy Ruiz, he wins the exec league. Yeah, it's a real blurry picture, but that's I think that's him right there. And then me with him.
Thank you.
We're just enjoying a game.
Where is that? Is that Yankee Stadium?
I think it's Dodger Stadium. He looked like a West Coaster. So yeah.
All right.
Him, me. Shout out to him. And then we got a video from a longtime fan of the show. You saw him on Twitter here.
Oh,
our man Kyle. You're in that picture. There you are.
There
Kyle
I am.
Grant.
That's right. Well, that's more of a picture, not a video, right? I thought we were getting a video.
Oh, sorry.
No, but it is animation. Yeah, that's me and Kyle Grant. How about that?
How about that, man? Shout out to him for winning the draft.
In Vegas. He won. How much did he win?
Won. I think a few hundred.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner. That's all I got for you.
That's all we got? I want to ask you guys, congratulations to everyone, by the way, and thank you to DraftKings. I'm going to run down all the... wait, no, where'd they go? My friends are gone?
They're still here.
Oh, okay. We could bring them back on the screen, unless Eric left. Did he leave? Is he done for the?
I was sick of your.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out all the notable things that have happened since we last spoke.
Can we go back to somebody betting? What was it? I'm sorry. Give me the number that person bet on a parlay of Mike Jackson and Chris Cyborg.
I mean, let's just get he put $15,000 on that. Can we also just appreciate the fact that he parlayed a plus 700 and a minus 1,000? That's crazy stuff.
I'm reeling. I'm reeling.
Well, then he also took a single 15,000, another one 18,500, another one 22,000. So he had what is that? $55,000 invested into Mike Jackson.
I don't know.
By the way, it's great that we have a social media expert here. Is Elon Musk buying Twitter a big deal?
It's already done. Oh,
it's done while you were in there.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Well, I'd like you know when on CNN when they bring in the expert person to talk about something. Yeah. How lucky are we that we have what is your title again?
Oh, good.
What's your title?
Social media director.
Yeah. We have an and now, Frank, can we get some breaking news?
Sure.
You're not supposed to say sure. You're supposed to do it. Doesn't have the same effect. Elon Musk has bought Twitter. Is that
The deal
legit?
is in place. The deal is in place.
Okay, sorry, screwed that up.
Um,
What's the takeaway from this?
yeah, it's. I mean, if you've been following this story or him,
Haven't really. I've been on spring break.
his platform is basically to take Twitter as a private company and open it up to less oversight, less restriction, more
great.
free speech.
Oh, wonderful.
So
more of
that
a
is- that is
cesspool.
the future. Yes, I mean your interpretation, sure. There are others who would say,
It's going to turn into one
free
big
speech,
YouTube chat.
power of yeah, it's possible, but yes, the impact will be based on what he has been broadcasting so far. The impact will be lesser restrictions on speech and more open.
Okay, but
conversation.
So you think he can like post his private jet locations? Think
Oh,
that'll be
God.
fine?
I think that was a question to you.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear Frank?
I'm in the
Frank-
same room as you. So it's
Yeah,
like
but it
3
wasn't
feet away.
loud enough. Did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
What he said?
I'm not going to repeat it though.
Oh, so then you didn't hear what he said.
We're just moving on.
He asked, what was it? Can he post his
Can you
location?
You
post
didn't
his
even hear
private
him, and you're
jet
on the,
location?
he's coming through on the mic.
In any event, is this good or bad?
I mean, it depends on who you ask.
I'm asking you.
Is it? Yeah, I mean, is it good for who? For me?
Is it good for the platform?
That's
is it good for
an impossible question to ask. Is it good? Is any
Is
like,
this a plus?
monumental
Is this a
shift in the world good or bad?
Is this a good thing or a bad thing? This is where you live.
This is the worst.
I don't know.
As one of the best interviewers in the entire world,
I feel
and
like this is a
will give you-
very
I will give you that
simple
respect.
question.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Is shifting the entire direction of one of the most powerful social media platforms in the world good or bad?
Yes.
As one of the best.
I actually don't know how to
interviewers of all
feel.
time, I think this is your worst question ever.
No.
I think it's possible that this is your worst question ever.
Listen, they say that the best questions are the most simple ones. Who, what, where, why, when, how, all that stuff, right?
If you okay, I will qualify the answer. If you are somebody who wants anything and everything to be said on social media and don't want anything to be restricted and want there to be no bumpers on the bowling alley, you're happy. If you're somebody who cares about now again, this is based on what he's been saying. We don't know what in action will happen once he takes Twitter private and it becomes his company to run, and who will be on the board and all those different things. If you're somebody who wants increased censorship on things like hate speech and this and that, and to be more proactive in their approaches, which has been something that Twitter has been trying to take and people have been calling for Twitter and other social platforms to do, this may be moving backward. Again, we don't know until it takes course and takes action. But yeah, for you, somebody who's like, get these people out of my damn replies and
No, I would never say
it's
so.
probably
What are you
it's
talking
probably
about?
not going to be great.
I love Twitter. What are you talking about? Twitter's been good to me.
They always
you've
are.
blocked half the entire user
I'm not a
base.
big. The only time I block
Muted and
people.
blocked.
No. The only time I block people is when they reply when I post the lineup for the show and include. If you're including the person in the week lineup tweet, I'm blocking you. No, I don't care if it's my mom, my sister, my wife.
Wow.
I don't care.
Fina would never.
No, she wouldn't. But the point is, it's just an incredibly rude thing to do. It's just
I agree
rude.
with you. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm joking to an extent, although you've had better days.
Wow. Okay.
Is it a good or bad? Is it good or bad? Is like, I don't know. We really have to see. Like, actually, just 9 minutes ago, he posted a statement. Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. So he wants it to be actual people as opposed to bots.
That's a good thing.
With free speech. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the community of users to unlock it. So a little bit of a step back from like anybody can say anything. He wants you to be accountable. He wants you, based on what he's saying here, he wants it to be people known, like not just bots, like people who are saying these things. But free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy is a potential.
There's one other line that you missed. And one of my first acts of business is promoting all Effed Friday tweets.
Can we get breaking news on that? The F Friday is going to be the new. But
Yeah,
Frank only responds when I tell him to do the breaking news.
The impact to social media will be very significant. Whether you fall on one side or the other, this is big. Like Twitter going private, Twitter being purchased by a man and a company who has had a very successful company with Tesla previously and others, and trying to launch rockets with SpaceX. It is going to be significant. There's going to be an impact. Now, whether it's favorable for you or your neighbor or whoever else, depends on where you fall on the issues. But yeah, this is big. This is a very big thing in the social space, and probably wider. Like everybody uses it.
Yeah. All right.
Speaking of Twitter, some additional breaking news here. If I can get my screen up on there, our boy Danny Sabatello.
Oh yeah,
he's actually created a Twitter. They said he should create a Twitter.
Oh,
I mean, maybe
there it is, right there.
Wow,
look at this.
He's on Twitter.
World. He just tweeted this out. Yeah, thought long and hard about my first tweet. Here it is. Higo sucks. His bio. Not even gonna bother reading his bio.
I can't see it.
Yeah,
I can't read it.
It's free speech. Let's just
free speech. Yeah, it's just FU.
Oh, it says FU in the bio.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Long form though.
This guy's the best.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Danny Sabatello. I just had a.
Oh, I love this.
As we're on the subject.
I mean, that is worthy of breaking news, Frank. Sabatello is the man. I see it here. His ad is "Shock This World." That was such a great promo.
Yeah. I mean, a must follow in my opinion. So shout out to...
you know what's so funny about it? The way he was standing. Wait. Sorry. I got the thing up here. Wait. I got to play this.
An undefeated fighter. Talk to me about how you feel.
Yeah, I feel fucking great. It was a really good fucking performance by me. Sorry for swearing about that. Fuck that. But Jornal Lugo's an absolute stud. And for me to do that to a guy like him, I could be any fucking body. And now Leandro Higo is next.
This is the best part.
Perfect fucking matchup, me and him. Because you look at him, he fucking sucks. You look at me, and I'm really good. Let's go.
I love it.
The best part is he doesn't say, and I'm just really good. He effing sucks, but I'm really good. Golly, he sounds exactly like Joe Pesci.
Yeah, the accent. I think without the accent, I don't know if it gets there. Like I feel like the accent is part and parcel. Is
the blonde hair too is phenomenal.
Everything about it. The tan, the look. I mean, it's amazing. And then Stotts came by on Saturday, and he was on fire too. Okay, so these are all the things that happened since we last spoke. So we spoke about Francis, AJ McKee. Totally. I have to say, I thought he lost. Just for the record, I thought he lost. I thought Pitbull won. And you can't talk like that. And even if you win via decision, a 48-47, it's like, now he's not a free agent, by the way. There's still a couple of fights left. But AJ McKee loses, so he's no longer undefeated. Now Pitbull's the champ, and it looks like his days of fighting at 145 are done.
He's done with 145.
Can we get the details on a couple fights left? Was it he was talking about Champions Clause? Is it that he gets 3 fights added, and now he has 2 fights left, essentially? Okay, got it.
But he's going to go at 50. I mean, I guess he could go up to 55 and fight the brother. But, I mean, it just feels like some of the luster is gone now.
Yeah, but
it's definitely gone.
Yeah,
it is. But
Bellator was real mad at me after that interview. I mean, it's like, I didn't say that stuff. He said it. What are you getting mad at me for?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to open that can of worms. But he's got 2 fights, and then he's figuring out his future.
He'll be fine. People lose.
I don't think that hurts him too much.
It's a minor blip. You can't talk about $1 million and lose the next fight.
He got $1 million already. He should be worth $1 million.
It's hard. It's hard to negotiate that way.
Talk about smoking Alexander Volkanovski and look like that. That is what you can't do. You can't talk about not impressed by Alexander Volkanovski, who's been smoked top competition and beat Max Holloway twice, and then go out and put on that stinker. That's
go
what you
out,
can't do.
Put on that stinker, and then say you're done at 145.
Yeah,
it's tough.
But I think it's fine. He'll get another fight against one of the Pitbull brothers. He'll make his money. Like he's worth it. He's still.
I'm not saying he's not worth it. It was just a tough, 72 hours for him.
Yes.
He is one of the top prospects in the sport, regardless.
I agree with that.
Of course. I mean, again, as Andreas said, Makhachev once got knocked out. People think T-Bow. I'm not saying he's done. I was just saying it was a tough stretch for him.
Yeah.
And I also thought he lost. by the way.
He didn't back up the talk. He clearly lost. He lost that fight. And as you said, even if he didn't lose, that wasn't the performance you needed. But I don't think it hurts him too bad. I think it's really like at Bellator, in Bellator, how far are you away from a title shot at any given point? Like the dude could walk into the next division and fight for the title. Like he'll by next fight. I predict by next fight, and now we can talk about the timeline and this and that, and you can hold me to however long I said it. By his next fight, people will be forgetting about this. He'll come out, he'll look great, and people will forget that this even happened. And then they'll be talking about, oh boy, he's got one fight left till he's a free agent.
Well, we don't know if they're going to run it back, if they'll ever run it back. We do know that they're probably going to run back Vadim Nemkov and Corey Anderson. That ended unceremoniously. Tough spot for Anderson. He was up. He alerts the ref of the clash. He's sitting back, calling himself the best light heavyweight in the world. Had he won, he could make that claim. I don't know if there were still 2 rounds left.
There were 2 rounds left, and every judge, because like Bellator PR tweets out the scorecards, every judge had it 19-19 going into the second. You have to assume Anderson was going to win that round. So he's up, 29-28 going into the 4th round? Like it's
not a foregone
to win. Yeah. Like you don't know what was going to happen in the 4th round or the 5th.
I'm not buying all the, you all know that I'm the best, and I like.
Everyone's saying Corey Anderson was just like cruising to a win when he was in a 29-28
Right.
matchup.
It was a good performance, but it wasn't a done deal.
That's what I think.
I'm with both of you on that, but I will say what tends to happen is Corey Anderson gets removed from the conversation because he's not in the UFC. What tends to happen is like he's over there in the B leagues, he's not beating anybody. Truth be told, Corey Anderson could compete with these guys in the UFC, has competed with these guys in the UFC, and I think that's more the takeaway and what he's.
Oh, he's in that conversation. He beat Glover.
Yeah.
4 years ago, but he still beat him.
That's the important takeaway, as opposed to like, is he the best in the world? That fight didn't show me that. Like, that wasn't the one that would have told me. But I don't think any one fight is going to. But I think he belongs in that conversation, and he needs to keep reminding people, because what will inevitably happen is he's not in the UFC, he's not in that weekly grind, he's not in people's radars every week. He's gone. He might as well be gone. And this was him showing like, look, I am in this conversation.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not a horrible thing for Bellator because now you have the rematch. There wasn't a sure thing for the next fight.
I mean, it sucks to not like those dudes were competing for $1 million, and now they're delayed on that.
Brought the check
sucks.
in. That
sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. That does suck. What about Carmouche beating Velasquez? Twitter seemed to think that it was a bad stoppage, and then I tweeted that I didn't love it, and then I got blasted for it. What do you think, GC?
I don't know. I think you can make the argument that it didn't necessarily need to be stopped, but then a lot of people are coming in saying she had no defense. It was a bunch of elbows to the face. But then in that one, like, you look at the judges' scorecards, like Velasquez, on 2 of the judges' scorecards, she was already at 30-27. So, like, it feels more regretful that they stopped it. Like, it wasn't like Carmouche was just, like, dominating. She was losing the fight pretty handily. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they should have stopped it right there.
You're always told that you shouldn't look at the clock. So you see some people saying, oh, there was 10 seconds left. It doesn't matter if there's 10, 4 minutes. NewYorkRic actually loved the stoppage.
I don't love the stoppage.
You told me you loved it.
No, I didn't love it. No, I did not tell you that. So don't lie. What I told you is I'm perfectly fine with it.
Right.
No issue with it. No, that's not.
I don't think that's a bad take. Like, being okay. Like, she was getting elbows dropped onto her face, like, repetitively.
I think it's a fundamental thing more so than this particular case, which is every time there's a late stoppage, the Twitter people come out in droves to say fighter safety should protect them, yada yada yada. This is the other side of that coin, and what you have to live with if you're on that side of the fence. There is no such thing as every ref is going to have the perfect stoppage at the perfect time every single time. If we are going to continue to talk about fighter safety, brain health, yada yada, and so on and so forth, then you have to live with stoppages like this at times, where they may be a little bit early, but they're in a bad position, and not be up in arms about it. It's okay to say, hey, I didn't agree with that stoppage. Let's try and run it back. Perfectly fine with that. But if we're all going to fall on the side of fighter safety, can't believe how late that stoppage was, this is the preferable outcome. It's better to stop it early than it is to stop it late if you're on that side of the discussion. So enough. I've had enough of this. Like, this is egregious. Like, it was fine. Okay if they didn't agree. Okay if the promotion wants to run it back. But this was not like, this isn't getting me up in arms. It's really not.
That's fair. Cyborg won the next night. Again, it was a fine fight. To me, Chris Cyborg and Kayla Harrison are the two most interesting fight. Like, they are the most interesting fight for each other, and they're both fighting a bunch of people that no one wants them to see fight against, and they're all just sort of their fights. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Arlene Blanca, but there was no desire to see that fight again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like we're running on this treadmill here.
It was a kind of fun fight to watch, and it was just domination by Cyborg.
You even there was the knee situation that made things a little bit interesting, but it felt like a done deal before the fight even started. It was closer than the first fight, but
I think it's fair to say that Arlene Blencowe put on a better performance than most people expected her to, but it still wasn't a thrilling fight, and it still wasn't a fight that anybody was clamoring for. But I thought she gave a great account of herself. She looked good. There were times where she was. I'm
just tired of these like.
But did we need to see a rematch? We didn't.
No.
And the truth is, that's what's left for Cyborg right now. Like, it's Kat Zingano or nothing. Oh well, I'm in her promotion. Like,
Yeah, but she's a free agent in the summer. Let's go PFL. PFL keeps talking about doing a co-pro.
Why not just sign her out? Right?
Yeah. Why would Bellator sign her to do a co-promotion with you? Either she's signing with Bellator.
Wait, so when is she up? How many fights does she have left?
No, it's a term thing with her.
Oh, interesting. And when? Summer?
Summer.
Ooh.
That could have been her last fight. If PFL comes strong, that could be her last fight.
Peter Murray was on here talking about
I know.
One-off fights, like fight night events that were not necessarily part of a season.
Yeah,
things like that.
Let's go.
I mean,
by the way,
that makes all the
we
sense.
saw a great situation with Yancy Medeiros this past weekend, where he signed a one-fight deal because it made sense for him to fight in Hawaii. Why can't that be the norm? Just sign a one-fight deal. Have Cyborg sign a one-fight deal in PFL. Now, if she wins, there could be something that kicks in because you don't want her to walk away off a win. Maybe then you do the immediate rematch clause, something. But we need to get into this flow of these one-fight or two-fight deals.
If you're PFL, are you signing a one-fight deal for Cyborg to potentially come in, take your belt, and then walk away?
I'm signing a one-fight with an immediate rematch. Why not? You're doing pay-per-view.
I don't love it.
You're doing pay-per-view.
I don't love it.
You're doing pay-per-view. What else are you going to do on pay-per-view?
Yeah, I mean, clearly they think they have something else on pay-per-view. Clearly they're already banking on it. But yeah, I don't know about the idea of signing a one-fight deal. I don't know about that. For the fighter, great. If you want to be LeBron James and you're just like, hey, I choose where I go every single time, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think it'd be great, advantageous for the fighter. I don't love that if you're the promotion. It just doesn't make sense. Why would I let Cyborg potentially come?
No, there's got to be a +1.
Wins twice and walks away with my belt. Not great.
Listen,
not great.
You roll the dice. Do you believe in your fighter or not?
Well, now, okay, but isn't Cyborg your fighter too? Does that become...
No, do you believe in the face of your promotion? You're bringing her in to make this super fight.
Yeah, that
Listen,
feels too much...
Eddie Hearn is doing a deal with Most Valuable. He's got Katie Taylor. They're in it together.
Boxing is different.
I'm just saying, we need to start learning from boxing
Each
a
fight
little
is
bit.
a one fight. Each fight is...
I like that.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
The promotions don't exist like that. I can't see it.
Jessica Andrade with the standing arm triangle, pretty damn impressive. Tyson Pedro coming back after 4 years away with an impressive win. Canada with a big night at the Apex. Marc-André Barriot and Charles Jourdain, who will be on the program on Wednesday, have no fear. That was impressive stuff. Claudio Puelles with the knee bar, impressive. Robert Whittaker out of the Marvin Vettori fight, unfortunately, in June. That was a bit of a bummer.
Can we pause here for one second?
Yeah, please. This is why I want you to pause anytime something...
Marvin Vettori.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this guy? He gets a lot of hate.
Yeah.
He's a little bit abrasive. He had the shorts on backwards. There's reasons he refuses to accept that Israel Adesanya beat him twice. There's reasons for people to have things to say about Marvin Vettori. One thing you will never say about Marvin Vettori, that dude is as game as they freaking come.
I agree.
That dude does not care who's in front of him. Any given week, will fight anybody, has had a string of bad luck of opponents just dropping out completely. Marvin Vettori is a legit fighter, born fighter in his blood. That dude deserves a lot of credit for the way he operates.
I agree 100%.
Deserves a lot of credit for the way he operates.
I agree. Respect. Now he's stuck in a weird spot. I don't know who he's going to fight.
I mean, that was the fight. And for him, it's that was the fight that would get him back tord a title shot.
I kind of wish it was Strickland versus Vettori.
That fight made sense. But the Strickland Pereira fight makes a lot of sense.
I'm actually surprised they booked that fight.
No, I can't wait.
Which one?
It's a big jump from what Pereira has been doing.
Makes the perfect sense. It's the perfect style matchup for him to get a title shot.
Sure. Oh, it's the perfect fight if you're trying to kill off Strickland.
Yeah,
I think maybe. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to kill off Strickland, but I think they're trying to springboard.
Yeah.
Pereira.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're like, we can't be having Sean Strickland fighting for a belt with the crazy stuff that he says.
Oh, come on. They don't care about that.
Yeah, they don't care. They
don't care about that.
They
Stop that. And now Twitter is open to the world.
Yeah. Mohammed Mokayev has his next fight, Charles Johnson, July 23rd. Keep an eye on that date, potentially the return to the UK. Although that was really interesting what Dan Hardy said about Liverpool. Bilal Muhammad with the big win, calling out Colby. Did Bilal fumble in the post-fight call-out? I didn't think it was so bad. People were like, oh, you should have called out Khamzat. Yeah, I saw him get a lot of hate for that. No? All right.
I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, that's it.
I think he's going to get who he's going to get.
I actually can see a scenario where they try to do Khamzat versus Colby. Colby says no, and then they do Khamzat versus Bilal.
So then did he fumble if he gets the fight anyway?
Well, I don't know.
Come on, stop this. Colby is fine. Everybody call out Colby. It doesn't matter.
Mike Tyson punched a guy in an airplane for being annoying. Michael Bisping and Jake
more than being annoying. Wait.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Let's not move past that so quickly. He was harassing him.
Oh, it was horrible.
I'm not about to say like people should get punched. Like
no, that was deserved, 100%.
The dude was harassing him.
What was up with that?
First of all, are you out of your out of your mind to be harassing Mike Tyson? Like this dude, I don't want to go down a bad rabbit hole and go back too far into this past, but this man's been in jail. Like this dude is not like Uncle Mike. Like there's a guy in him that's not like
a tortured
your
soul.
Friendly,
yes.
Yeah, like you're not your friendly dude.
By the way, is Tyson in trouble?
I haven't seen anything, but I hope that dude is in big trouble and banned from that airline and banned from any airline and like isn't allowed to like do this again. That dude was harassing him like straight up, and he has to be left alone. He deserved what came to him in there.
How no one stopped the guy before this? It was like a kid.
His friends are recording it.
I know, but it was crazy. Like someone on the plane needed to come up to like this is like a kid with a fork just sticking it into an outlet, or that, like I mean, or you're at the zoo and you're like, "Hello, little lion."
Yeah.
You know, let me play around with your food. It's crazy.
That was insane.
Bisping and Jake Paul going back and forth. Nothing really there.
Well, I mean, there's a native tribal land that's willing to give him a
Calgary.
Yeah, willing to give him a license.
By the way,
they don't have licenses as they say.
I've decided what the move is. The move is Tommy Fury in the UK. No, in the UK. Come on.
Would you be yawning for a Bisping fight?
No, I'd be.
No, I don't want the Bisping.
I think
fight.
Bisping would lose.
Bisping has one eye.
That's what
and he's in his 40s.
I just don't. I think Jake Paul would win.
Yeah, it's not a crazy.
Yeah,
it's not a crazy.
Paul Silva. I would love Tommy Fury too. That dude is not a good boxer.
I would love to see
That's the thing.
Silva.
But isn't that the move right now?
Why? Here's what I'm not.
Everyone wants him to fight someone his age and a boxer. That's his age and that's a boxer.
Let me ask you something that's very important that I think gets forgotten in this conversation. Is Tommy Fury that big a draw? Like, does anybody care about Tommy Fury? Because I'm not.
He's a draw in the UK.
The name is an aura
about. Tommy
yes,
Fury.
And also, by the way, Jake Paul's a big draw in the UK. Like, I think that fight is a bigger draw here than here.
You could put him against anybody. Does he need to fight Tommy Fury? I don't think Tommy Fury brings anything to that fight. Straight up.
Yo, he's a big deal.
He's not.
Yes.
The fact that he's a boxer.
He's a reality show dude. Love Island. Everyone knows him.
Everybody's talking about this, but like, is he a big deal? Can he sell a pay-per-view? I'm not convinced. This dude stinks. He was on the undercard of the prelims for a reason.
No. He was first fight on main card.
Okay, whatever it is. He wasn't the co-main event.
It
was a bad fight. I am not convinced that Tommy Fury is a draw. You could talk about he was on a reality TV show. That's great.
I just think it would sell.
He's got millions of followers. If they did it in UK,
did a real bad pay-per-view against Tyron Woodley.
It's because there was no market for that. No one wanted.
Yeah, there's no market for this either.
In the
Tommy
UK, see, you were good on the takes today. This is a bad one.
Nah, man.
Okay, but
you're telling me Tommy Fury's a draw. Everybody's saying that. Prove it.
In the arc of his career.
Okay, the only way to prove it is to do the fight.
Are you putting Tommy Fury against anybody on pay-per-view?
It can only be Jake Paul.
But Tommy Fury isn't.
Jake Paul.
He's an 8-0 boxer. Tommy Fury. He's not.
You can find a Tommy Fury.
Abnormal.
They're a dime a dozen.
Okay, so who does he fight? Who does he fight?
Anybody. Bisping's more interesting.
I disagree.
More interesting.
I disagree.
Bisping has one eye.
Yeah, and he's better than Tommy Fury.
And then the haters will be like, "You fought an old guy with one eye."
Yes,
you think Jake Paul cares about that?
No, but
the haters will say that.
But isn't this exactly what the people are saying? They're saying he's not fighting guys his age, and he's not fighting boxers.
Jake Paul's pay-per-views. Those people. Are they plopping down their money or are they stealing it?
But here's the thing: we were going to see
buying a Tommy Fury
we were
fight.
going to see
Nobody.
Fury in December in
Right here,
Tampa.
that's one.
But now you add the layer of like, you know what? I'm going to go to the UK where there's crooked judges and all this stuff.
Great.
And I'll beat you there. That's a pretty damn cool
cares
move.
about Tommy Fury. Prove it to me. Michael
I mean,
Bisping can
there
sell
were
pay-per-views.
I think there were like 30,000 people in that stadium.
Michael
on
Bisping can sell
Saturday.
pay-per-views. Can Tommy Fury?
I'm looking
Show
at the
me.
picture. I don't know if it was 30.
Show me.
No, 20,000.
Show
It
me
wasn't that empty.
Show me that Tommy Fury can sell. I've not seen it.
But
Nobody's
thing.
convinced me.
Okay, then let me ask you this: how many people know A-0 boxers? You don't know any. So he's the anomaly. So that's the thing because of his famous last name. So take the famous last name, take the famous father, take the famous half brother, and take the year of back and forth social media stuff, take the bad blood, and stick them in the Manchester arena.
Can do better.
I don't know if there's a better.
Can do better.
Who's better right now?
The only one that I'm
Silva.
more interested in is Anderson Silva.
But again, then people say he's too old. Then maybe
I
he's
feel
old.
that. I feel that. But I also think Anderson Silva actually has a chance of beating him.
Anderson Silva.
Okay, well,
Michael
I don't think Bisping
okay,
does.
if I'm okay,
Walk
but
away.
here's the thing. To me, the debate isn't who's going to beat Jake Paul. The debate is how does Jake Paul navigate this career that he has, right? So I'm almost thinking as Jake. I'm thinking of Nikisa. I'm thinking of their perspective. They're the ones deciding which chess pieces are moving, right? So and I agree with you, Anderson has a chance to beat Jake Paul. Tommy doesn't. So Tommy checks off multiple boxes, and he's
What boxes does Jake Paul? So essentially what your
beatable. Is
argument
Anderson
boils down
Silva
to
a bigger pay-per-view draw?
than Tommy Fury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
about
dude,
that.
Come on.
I don't know about that.
I will say Rick asked what boxes Tommy Fury checks, and you mentioned them. It's someone his age, and it's an actual.
Yes.
But here's what your argument boils down to is you think that they care more about checking these boxes than they care about making money. That's not the case.
I think they want both. They want
both, and
Yeah.
Anderson Silva is that answer. And Michael Bisping is more of that answer. Tommy Fury, you could tell me he was on a reality show. You ever seen it?
Yeah,
You
it's
know
on
anybody
Netflix.
who watched it?
Love Island, Molly
You know
May.
anybody
Yeah,
who
my
watched
sister.
it?
My sister legit watched it.
Okay, so is your sister buying the pay-per-view?
Oh yeah, she's all in.
That's the answer. Tommy Fury ain't drawing. Tommy Fury is not a draw.
Here's the thing.
Period.
And he's got millions of social media.
Yes.
followers.
And by the way,
So does Paige Van Zandt. Did she draw for BKFC?
Anderson. Well, according to them, she did. Whatever
Yeah.
that ceiling is. But Anderson isn't going to sell this fight. And by the way, I love Anderson. I'll be happy to have the Anderson fight. But I'm just trying to figure this out from the perspective. What you're, I think, not taking into account is Tommy in the UK is the move, not Tommy in some random American city. That's a big scene.
Who's buying it?
Well, if you're
Who's
going
buying
to,
it?
well, here's the thing. If you're going to do the pay-per-view in the UK, you're kind of like punting on the American pay-per-view, number one. But number two, I actually think the move, like if, and far be it for me to tell them what to do, I actually think Jake should get off pay-per-view.
Okay, if that's now that's changing
Because
the
his
argument.
fan base isn't a pay-per-view fan base.
If we're doing something like that, now Tommy Fury makes
Do a
lot
deal
of
with
sense.
Amazon or something. Do a
Great.
deal with,
Go-
or put it on Showtime and get 1 million viewers on Showtime.
Okay, now I'm open to Tommy Fury. Now I all of a sudden become open to Tommy
But you
Fury.
see why I'm saying that? His fan base isn't a pay-per-view fan base. Like
Yeah, and Tommy
21-year-old.
Fury ain't bringing it either. So that's a zero for them. That's a loss. That's a
I just
loss.
think it would be a scene. I could see him walking out there
Okay.
with the top
Again,
hat. And
if you want to do local fights in the UK, just put on a local fight in the UK. Do a smoker.
you
Jake
can't
Paul
say,
versus Tommy
You can't
Fury.
say Tommy Fury
That's
is
what
a
it is.
local fight. Like he's a
Dude,
big name.
What has he proven? Is he a big name?
Yes, he is. How many followers does he have?
How
You
many
keep
shows
referencing.
has he even
4
headlined?
million.
Has this dude
4
even headlined
million.
a boxing fight?
No, but he's an 8-0 boxer. That's the point. The point is he's the rare 8-0 boxer that people actually know about because of his famous
If
last
you're
name and the
Jake
platform
Paul,
he's been
If
on.
you're Jake Paul, why do you care about that? Why would you care about that?
Because you check off the box of, hey, I fought a boxer my age.
Well, who cares? So you're saying
Well, he
Jake,
clearly cares. He's doing
this is what Jake Paul's
tracks about people.
This
He
is
clearly
what,
cares.
This is what's going to happen. Jake Paul's gonna check off these boxes that you've
Yes.
presented, and everybody's all of a sudden going to be like, "Oh, sorry, I was wrong." Jake Paul's
No, and
the
then
real
we go to
deal.
the next one.
It's
The whole
silly.
thing.
It's
Look,
silly.
people said, "Oh, you beat a social media
It's
guy.
silly.
Okay, what
It's
next?
silly,
I'm going to
man.
beat an NBA player, and then I'm going to beat an MMA
Jake
fighter."
Paul is not in this for the long haul. He needs to make the most money he can. He's not a career fighter. He's done soon.
I think he
It ain't
makes,
Tommy Fury.
I think he makes just as much money fighting Tommy as he does Anderson.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm being serious.
MMA fans will plop down for Anderson, 100%. They're not plopping down for Tommy Fury. Nobody cares.
I think
Nobody cares.
I think
I
MMA.
think a lot of people watch.
I think MMA fans are plopping down on their couch to steal the Anderson fight. They ain't plopping down to pay for anything.
They ain't paying for Tommy Fury.
Yeah, but the Love Island crowd is.
Oh, the Love. Yeah, your sister's sitting there
4 million
ordering this
strong.
pay-per-view.
Big pay-per-view.
Dude, you guys are confusing like trash talk and social media and this that with like actually selling pay-per-views. This happens in the UFC a lot too. Like some people are draws, some people are not. I haven't seen it. Tommy Fury ain't it.
All right.
Anderson Silva has headline pay-per-views for millions of dollars.
Yeah, but not at this point. He headlined a pay-per-view in 2012 with Chael Sonnen 10 years
He's
ago.
still headlining shows at least. He's still at least headlining cards.
You know what's going to happen. He's going to fight him. They're going to say he's an old guy, blah, blah, blah.
So what? He's going to make more money. So what?
Is he going to sell the fight?
What
You don't
even
need
is
him
the
to sell the
question
fight.
here? Like, what?
Anderson Silva.
He's saying Anderson's a better idea than fighting. I'm not saying fighting Tommy. Fighting Tommy in America doesn't do anything for me. Fighting Tommy in the UK is sexy.
Okay. We're trying to decide the best
your goal
move.
is
The best move,
to
yeah.
to do what though? Fight
I got
Tommy
lost
Fury
in
in the
all
UK to do what?
It's the next step.
Yeah, man. So then who's after Tommy Fury?
Oh, we'll worry about that later.
Come on, man. It's the next step to nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing. A win over Tommy Fury does not mean anything.
Nathan
And if
Diaz.
that's the case, it needs to be worth it. Money.
Nathan Diaz isn't a fan of the NFTs.
Yeah.
Clay Collard wins again. Clay
Man.
Collard is the UFC killer.
30-27.
Yeah, all he does is
Yeah.
kill the
Is that
ex-UFC
accurate?
guys.
Yeah.
That was 30-27 for sure.
Yeah, he beat him up. Come on.
30-27?
What do you got?
What did you think? You
I
thought
don't
Stevens
know.
won?
No, not the fight. But I thought that he got around at least. Like it was 30-27 clear across the board.
Great idea
Three
here from
judges,
Shaheen.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
Have Anderson be the fight, have Bisping be the mouthpiece. Man, that would be fun.
I mean, we're just cooking with gas right now. Oh, Love Island. He was on Love Island.
Okay.
And meanwhile, he's
I'll
buried
counter
on these
that.
cards. Nobody's ever seen him.
I'll counter that with
Tyson?
have Tommy be the fight, have John and Tyson be the mouthpiece in the UK.
Yeah. Meanwhile, every time they get on the mic, they're burying the kid as if he can't do anything.
No, they're
right.
not.
Yeah,
He's talking about his freaking girlfriend. He's crazy, John Fury. The guy's
They don't. Yeah, they don't exactly like big up Tommy the way that you would think, and for good reason.
Dricus Duplessis has a fight against Brad Tavares, UFC 276. Cejudo says he's coming back. Dana White continues to say he's retired. It's like it's the craziest thing. He keeps saying he's coming back, and Dana keeps saying he's retired.
He did like a whole video that he's like, "I'm back."
Yeah,
signing
he's
the
like,
USADA thing.
"Nah,
Let's
he's
see Dana White.
Let's go back to reality, though. I think Henry Cejudo will get a fight. Yes.
Yes.
For
I mean,
sure.
Yeah.
He's just like kicking him.
That's good though. That's
Yeah,
good.
It's fun.
Dricus, I'm probably gonna bet on him
Dude,
again. Pray that I can
I know-
actually see him fight.
I
Yeah, that'd
know-
be great.
I know he's turned into a joke purposefully, the cringe stuff, but like one of the best combat sports athletes of all time
Yes.
is going to fight again. It's a good thing. But, you know,
Yo, I'm down with him fighting
he's-
Volkanovski.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
I
made
would
it.
be
I'm so
crazy
down
hyped
for that.
I would be so hyped for that.
He's made it bad, but like the dude is one of the best ever, and I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he will fight again.
Ioane and Jacek, Zhang Wei Li official 3 rounds.
Yeah,
Not
wish
five.
It was 5. Wish it was 5.
I'm okay with it. Enough of this
Same.
5-round non-title fight nonsense.
Same.
If you want it to be 5 rounds, make it a main event.
Wish it was 5.
Agree.
Neil Magny, the man, balls of
Another-
steel, doesn't get Khamzat, gets the guy who might be as tough as Khamzat, just not nearly as well known as Khamzat.
Yeah.
He gets Shavkat Rakhmonov. I mean, golly.
Just copy and paste what I said about Vittori, and then just put it on,
I mean-
on Neil Magny, and then we can.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Neil Magny, much respect. Will Brooks is knocking at the door, says he wants to get back in there. And a couple
One
of
my faves.
boxing, Spence Crawford, is it happening? Is it not? I continue to say
Never
that boxing, never happening?
I
They
think
don't
it
want to
needs
make the
happen.
damn fight. What do you
No,
want
I
me to
think- I
say?
think it's
It's
happening.
been forever.
No, I feel like
How many times have we been here?
it feels like there's something going on in boxing where there is this
It does?
desire. Yeah, I mean, look at
Can we
Taylor
get-
Serrano. That was never happening, and they made that.
was
Cambosis fighting Devin
Taylor-
Haney.
Taylor Serrano was not a "this is never happening" fight.
Oh,
No way.
yes. Oh, 100%.
Nah, man.
Yo, that fight was like in talks for 6 years or something crazy like that.
Yeah, but their careers weren't like on hold while they were talking about this.
I'm not saying on hold. I'm not saying it's as
Spence and
big as
Crawford
Spence
are
Crawford.
just like digging opponents out of nowhere. Like these dudes
How
have
dare
been on
you.
a
I mean,
collision course from
Spence dominated Ugas. Like it's
this.
time. Like if you're
No,
gonna do it,
I
We
think
didn't get Joshua Fury. We didn't get Spence Crawford. They've been talked about forever. There's nothing that tells me that boxing makes the fights that we need to see. Nothing.
I feel like we're moving in that direction slowly.
I hope so. I love it.
It's never going to be like a blanket thing. There's still always going to be PBC not wanting to work with Matchroom and this and that. But I'm just saying, I feel like there's more of a, I don't know, more of a push to try to make these fights. I don't know. I'm holding out hope.
I'm not there yet, but that is the fight of all boxing fights. Any weight class, anything that I want to see the most. That is the boxing fight.
Oh yeah.
But I'm 1 and 2 right now in the pound for pound rankings.
No,
Canelo would be 1.
No, Canelo.
But it would be pretty damn close. It'd be pretty damn close. And the last thing, which affects not only boxing but MMA as well, the Daniel Kinahan situation with MTK now closing and the U.S. Treasury putting sanctions on him and the $5 bounty on any information, and then literally
$5 million.
$5 million. What did I say? $5? Jesus, everyone would be coming out of the woodwork. $5 million. Literally days after Munir Lassay giving him the shout out.
I'll be shouting him out, yeah.
On the ESPN broadcast, and then shout out to journalist Alan Dawson at the press conference, asked him a bunch of questions about it, and then people were saying move on. And the guy's asking him questions about something he gave a shout out to or about. But this is a story that has been, I think it's been very much a boxing story, but I'm not going to say it's as much an MMA story, but I mean, Darren Till is, I've asked Darren about Daniel multiple times. Darren has taken pictures with him. Again, not as much involved in MMA, but certainly has had ties, and MTK has ties to MMA as well. They represent some guys. Going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Tyson Fury as well.
I'll point out here that the official line from MTK has always been Daniel has not been involved since they took over the promotion. The new group of people has taken over the promotion. Whether that's factual or not is for somebody else to decide. But that they have said that he has not been involved in their business. And then separately, you have guys like Darren Till Munir saying that they were friends with him and that their relationship is separate. So it's a very complicated, kind of muddy situation in terms of what's the truth and what's not, in terms of what his actual connections are. But it seems like every fighter who's been in that situation has just essentially said, look, I have a personal relationship. It's not related to that. And then they don't want to talk about it.
And then Bob Arum is saying he's getting too involved and he's getting too greedy and he's getting, I mean, Tyson was getting mad about those questions last week. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. If your MO when asked about him is to shut it down and then people continue to ask about it, I get, why, but I also understand this is what has to be done. The questions need to be asked. It is as relevant and and important as ever. That's the reality of the situation.
Someone asked me if they put the sanctions on because Tyson was fighting, if the timing, I don't know. It's impossible to know, but the timing wasn't great for Tyson, I'll tell you that much.
But are we talking about it now? This is the first thing about it that has been talked about it in terms of Tyson Fury. Everybody's talking about the knockout. Everybody's talking about a fight.
No, I know. Well, now
the tail on it is so short. Even if they did time it for that or intended for it to be that kind of conversation, it's the world has moved on from Tyson's connection to it, and it's just he's the best ever. This
as
and
they
that.
typically do.
As it does. So I don't know if there's a way to perfect that kind of thing. There was one more thing.
PFL?
No, I'm the owner of the house.
Oh yeah, this is the biggest one, Frank.
And breaking news.
This is a crazy story.
One more thing happened.
Let's end on this.
I'm the owner of a new home out on Long Island. Shout out. Thank you. It's been a long process, a long journey. My family's going to be my family's the big winners here. But shout out.
Yes.
To the best real estate agent in the business, Ragin Al Iaquinta of Ragin Al Realty, for getting it done. My real estate agent.
This is a shoot.
Iaquinta. This is a shoot. Me and him came together, got the deal done.
When do you reach out to him?
Thanksgiving time? Christmas time?
You reach out to him, you say, I'm looking for a house. How is he? This is the big question I think everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
What is he like as a real estate agent?
The best. Just the GOAT. Goes to bat for you, gets you what you need.
You're going to open houses with Ragin Al.
open houses.
He's talking to you about the basement. It's finished. It's not finished.
Oh yeah, the dude's the GOAT.
He's taking calls at lunch from Al, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, hey Al,
so
I got to do this."
Little behind the scenes. So like Al's there with Aljamain, obviously.
What? Aljamain's coming to the open houses too?
No. Al is at Fight Week for Aljamain.
Oh, right.
And I'm texting Al like, hey, we got the closing. I want to do the final walkthrough, this and that. Getting back to me like this dude's the man. This dude's the GOAT. So if you need a home on Long Island, there's only one place.
So it's not a gimmick. He is legit.
He's the man. He knows what he's doing.
He got it done. You love the place.
Love it. So happy.
Not only that, goes the extra mile. I mean, this to me was the most impressive part.
Yes.
Gets the cartoon drawing. Gets Bruce Buffer to announce it.
From Bruce Buffer, yeah.
I mean, that was incredible.
Did you know that was happening?
No. I mean, come on.
He surprised you with that. I saw that. I was like, wow, that's an incredible touch.
Nice.
That's class right there.
The man.
Pretty close to Amityville.
It ain't a gimmick.
Sketchy.
He's the best filter in the biz.
Where is it? Or are you not allowed to say?
Long Island.
Pretty close to Amityville. Pretty sketchy.
What is Amityville?
No, it's not in Amityville.
Really, Ariel?
I just said pretty close to Amityville.
No, but what is that? Well, why is that sketchy?
The house in Amityville. No,
there was a haunted.
There's this thing called movies.
Yeah, I just.
It's a true story too. Just listen to a podcast on it. Great stuff.
I just watched Billy Madison.
Jesus, that's so grim. Jesus,
yeah, why would you say that? Yeah, jeez.
These are my kids.
What's just saying, look at a map.
I mean, what's wrong with you?
Wait, what's the movie? Is it like Friday the 13th? Is it Friday?
No, it's called like Amityville Horror. Like
whatever. No,
well, it's based on a true story.
Anyway, congratulations, Mazel Tov. I mean, come on.
What? I mean, you got to look at a map before you move somewhere. You didn't think to do that.
I mean, the guy's having a moment here. He's excited.
I'm just saying, I'm not coming to the open house.
I mean, you weren't invited.
Is there going to be an open house? Is there going to be a party, housewarming?
Now I have to shorten the list a little bit. Maybe I don't say it over here.
No GC, no Killishaw.
No, Killishaw's coming.
Oh, he is?
Killishaw's invited.
Good. Send Killishaw out to Amityville.
Killishaw, all our friends are coming.
And when do you move in?
Not yet. I got some time. I think we'll finish out the school year for my older daughter here in New York, and then move for next year.
Wow! Shout out to Raging Al. What a legend, Raging Al. I mean, people joke, people make wisecracks, but it's legit. Like he is living that life,
dude. I mean, obviously I know him, and we're talking like the dude's. He planned properly. He was.
I had no doubt.
Fighter, did what he needed to do to set himself up. Now he's doing great. He's doing great, and he says he's feeling healthy. So.
Did you ever record like I would love to see him taking you to an open house and being oh, they've got to walk in.
Am I a weirdo? Like
no, I mean, it's just. Do people recognize him when you go to the open houses?
Yeah, there's
There are people
look, he's on Long Island. If there's people who know about the fight, you're gonna run into.
That is so great. I love that guy.
It's the best.
One of the all-time.
I'm
best.
Happy, and I'm glad that we were able to get it done.
Well done, Mazel Tov to everyone involved. All right, well that's great news to end on. PFL back on Thursday. Solid little card there. UFC back on Saturday, and of course we've got the big Taylor Serrano fight. We're back on Wednesday. Should we tell them who's coming in studio on Wednesday?
Yeah, do it.
Our old friend Eddie Hearn dropping by. How about that? Eddie Hearn back in studio on Wednesday to help us get ready for the event. Other people as well will be stopping by. Not in studio, but let's be honest. Eddie Hearn in studio is a big deal. We love picking his brain, talking about the combat sports scene. And also he was in attendance at the O2 Arena when the UFC was there in March. So we'll get his thoughts on being there cage side with our good friend Dana White. For now, though, we are out of time. Thank you very much, GC, NewYorkRic. Thank you to the crew in the back over there. Frank, you can hit my music. Good to be back. Oh, yeah. Good to be back. Happy to be back. Missed all of you. Appreciate everyone who wrote in saying that life wasn't the same without us, that the weeks were just kind of, I mean, it was only 1 week, but it was just kind of like slowly, just like kind of trudging along, and there was nothing out there. There were no good shows, no good podcasts. Like, listen, I feel you. I got nothing to listen to either. In fact, I watched every episode of The Last Dance over again. That's my big thing that I did over the break. Oh, Marlon Vera just texted me. Big fight for him on Saturday. Marlon Chito Vera. Huge fight for him, and he's an underdog. That might be my underdog pick of the week. We shall see. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. For now, though, we are out of time. Thank you so much to everyone who stopped by. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to Francis Ngannou fascinating story to follow. We'll be talking about this one, I predict, for many weeks and months to come. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Appreciate him very much for stopping by. Thank you very much to the great Ben Rothwell. Congratulations on the new deal. Thanks for coming on and announcing it on this here program. Ben Rothwell going to BKFC. That is interesting, very interesting, especially with all the stuff that he was talking about. Thank you very much, of course, to Andreas Michael, who stopped by. Congrats on the big win. And thank you and congrats to Dan Hardy on the big news as well. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. Please download, rate, subscribe, review, do all those things that you do. It helps us out a lot. And we'll be back on Wednesday, same time and place. Until then, I say peace.